Abandonment by Carrie Williams Clifford. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. I want to sail out on the flood tide of life to the uttermost reaches of self, forgetting the petty conventions of men and the scramble for power and pelf. I want to sail out to the island of love and couch myself there on your breast, to be soothed by your passionate, vile, sweet voice, and lulled by its music to rest. I want to be warmed by the sun of your smile, refreshed by the rain of your tears, content in the clasp of your compassing arms, as we drift down the tide of the years. I want to float out on the ebb tide of life, as mutely the death watch you keep, and feel the quick pulse of your quivering lips, as I fall in the last dreamless sleep. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
After Love by Sarah Teasdale. Read for LibriVox.org by PaulClayton. There is no magic any more. We meet as other people do. You work no miracle for me, nor I for you. You are the wind, and I the sea. There is no splendor any more. I have grown listless as the pool beside the shore. But though the pool is safe from storm, and from the tide has found surcease, it grows more bitter than the sea, for all its peace. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Agatha by George Eliot, read for LibriVox by Josh Mitteldorf. Come with me to the mountains, not where rocks soar harsh above the troops of hurrying pines, but where the earth spreads soft and rounded breasts to feed her children, where the generous hills lift a green isle betwixt the sky and plain to keep some old world things aloof from change. Here too 'tis hill and hollow, new-born streams with sweet enforcement, joyously compelled like laughing children, hurry down the steeps and make a dimpled chase athwart the stones. Pine woods are black upon the heights, the slopes are green with pasture, and the bearded corn fringes the blue above the sudden ridge. A little world whose round horizon cuts this isle of hills with heaven for a sea, save in clear moments when southwestward gleams France by the Rhine, melting anon to haze. The monk of old chose here their still retreat, and called it by the Blessed Virgin's name, Sancta Maria, which the peasant's tongue, speaking from out the parent's heart that turns all loved things into little things, has made Sanct Margen, holy little Mary, dear as all the sweet home things she smiles upon, the children and the cows, the apple trees, the cart, the plough, all named with that caress which feigns them little, easy to be held, familiar to the eyes and hand and heart. What though, a queen? She puts her crown away, and with her little boy wears common clothes, caring for common wants, remembering that day when good Saint Joseph left his work to marry her, with humble trust sublime. The monks are gone, their shadows fall no more, tall, frocked, and cowled athwart the evening fields at milting time. Their silent corridors are turned to homes of bare-armed, aproned men, who toil for wife and children. But the bells, pealing on high from two quaint convent towers, still ring the Catholic signals, summoning to grave remembrance of the larger life that bears our own like perishable fruit upon its heaven-wide branches. At their sound the shepherd boy, far off upon the hill, the workers with the saw and at the forge, The triple generation round the hearth, grandmas and mothers and the flute-voiced girls, fall on their knees and send forth prayerful cries to the kind mother with the little boy, who pleads for helpless men against the storm, lightning and plagues and all terrific shapes of power supreme. Within the prettiest hollow of these hills, just as you enter it upon the slope, stands a low cottage, neighbored cheerily by running water, which at farthest end of the same hollow turns a heavy mill, and feeds the pasture for the miller's cows. Blanchi and Negeli, Wäldchen, and the rest, matrons with faces as Griselda mild, coming at call, and on the farthest height a little tower looks out above the pines, where mounting you will find a sanctuary open and still, without the silent crowd of heaven-planted, incense-mingled flowers, within the altar where the mother sits, mid votive tablets hung from far-off years by peasants succored in the peril of fire, fever, or flood, who thought that Mary's love, willing but not omnipotent, had stood between their lives and that dread power which slew their neighbor at their side. The chapel bell will melt to gentlest music ere it reach that cottage on the slope, whose garden gate has caught the rose tree boughs and stands ajar. So does the door to let the sunbeams in. For in the slanting sunbeams angels come, and visit Agatha who dwells within, old Agatha, whose cousins, Kate and Nell, are housed by her in love and duty's name, they being feeble with small withered wits, and she believing that the higher gift was given to be shared. So Agatha shares her one room all neat on afternoons, as if some memory were sacred there, and everything within the four low walls an honored relic. One long summer's day an angel entered at the rose-hung gate, with skirts pale blue, a brow to quench the pearl, hair soft and blonde as infants, plenteous as hers who made the wavy lengths who speak the grateful worship of a rescued soul. The angel paused before the open door to give good day. "Come in," said Agatha. I followed close and watched and listened there. The angel was a lady, noble, young, taught in all seemliness that fits a court, all lore that shapes a mind to delicate use, yet quiet, lowly as a meek white dove, that with its presence teaches gentleness. Men called her Countess Linda. Little girls in Freiburg town, orphans whom she caressed, said Mamma Linda. Yet her years were few, her outward beauties all in budding time, her virtues the aroma of the plant that dwells in all its being, root, stem, leaf, and waits not ripeness. "Sit," said Agatha. Her cousins were at work in neighboring homes, but yet she was not lonely. All things round seemed filled with noiseless yet responsive life, as of a child at breast that gently clings, not sunlight only, or the breathing flowers, or the swift shadows of the birds and bees, but all the household goods which, polished fair by hands that cherished them for service done, shone as with glad content. The wooden beams, dark and yet friendly, easy to be reached, bore 3 white crosses for a speaking sign. The walls had little pictures hung a row, telling the stories of Saint Ursula and Saint Elizabeth, the lowly queen, and on the bench that served for table too, skirting the wall to save the narrow space, there lay the Catholic books, inherited from those old times when printing still was young with stout-limbed promise, like a sturdy boy. And in the farthest corner stood the bed, where o'er the pillow hung 2 pictures wreathed with fresh-plucked ivory, one the Virgin's death, and one her flowering tomb, while high above she smiling bends and let her girdle down. for ladder to the soul that cannot trust in life which outlasts burial. Agatha sat at her knitting, aged, upright, slim, and spoke her welcome with mild dignity. She kept the company of kings and queens and mitred saints who sat below the feet of Francis, with the ragged frock and wounds, and rank for her meant duty, various yet equal in its worth, done worthily. Command was service. Humblest service done by willing and discerning souls was glory. Fair Countess Linda sat upon the bench, close fronting the old knitter, and they talked, with sweet antiphony of young and old. Agatha. You like our valley, lady? I am glad you thought it well to come again. But rest, the walk is long from Master Michael's inn. Countess Linda. Yes, but no walk is prettier. Agatha. It is true. There lacks no blessing here, the waters all have virtues like the garments of the Lord, and heal much sickness. Then the crops and cows flourish past speaking, and the garden flowers, pink, blue, and purple. 'Tis a joy to see how they yield honey for the singing bees. I would the whole world were as good a home. Countess Linda. And you are well off, Agatha. Your friends left you a certain bread, is it not so? Not so at all, dear lady. I had naught, was a poor orphan, but I came to tend here in the house an old afflicted pair who wore out slowly, and the last who died, full 30 years ago, left me this roof and all the household stuff. It was great wealth, and so I had a home for Kate and Nell. Countess Linda. But how then have you earned your daily bread these 30 years? Agatha. Oh, that is easy earning. We help the neighbors, and our bit and sup is never failing. They have work for us in house and field, all sorts of odds and ends, patching and mending, turning o'er the hay, holding sick children. There's always work. And they are very good, the neighbors are. Weigh not our bits of work with weight and scale, but glad themselves with giving us good shares of meat and drink. And in the big farmhouse, when cloth comes home from weaving, the good wife cuts me a piece, this very gown, and says, Here, Agatha, you old maid, you have time to pray for Hans, who is gone soldiering. The saints might help him, and they have much to do. 'Twere well they were besought to think of him. She spoke half jesting, but I pray, for poor young Hans. I take it much to heart that other people are worse off than I. I ease my soul with praying for them all. Countess Linda. That is your way of singing, Agatha, just as the nightingales pour forth sad songs, and when they reach men's ears they make men's hearts feel more kindly. Agatha. Nay, I cannot sing. My voice is hoarse, and I oft think my prayers are foolish, feeble things. For Christ is good, whether I pray or not. The Virgin's heart is kinder far than mine. And then I stop and feel I can do naught toward helping men, till out it comes, like tears that will not hold, and I must pray again for all the world. 'Tis good to me, I mean, the neighbors are. To Kate and Nell, too. I have money saved to go on pilgrimage the second time. Countess Linda. And do you mean to go on pilgrimage, with all your years to carry, Agatha? Agatha. The years are light, dear lady. 'Tis my sins are heavier than I would, and I shall go all the way to Eilesben, and that load, I need to work it off. Countess Linda. What sorts of sins, dear Agatha? I think they must be small. Agatha. Nay, but they must be greater than I know. 'Tis but dim light I see by, so I try all ways I know to be cleansed and pure. I would not sink where evil spirits are. There's perfect goodness somewhere, so I strive. Countess Linda. You were the better for that pilgrimage you made before. The shrine is beautiful, and then you saw fresh country all the way. Agatha. Yes, that is true. And ever since that time the world seems greater, and the Holy Church more wonderful. The blessed pictures all, the heavenly images with books and wings, are company to me through the day and night. The time, it never seemed far back only to father's father and his kin that lived before him. But the time stretched out after that pilgrimage. I seemed to see far back, and yet I knew time lay behind, as there are countries lying still behind, the highest mountains there in Switzerland. Oh, it is great to go on pilgrimage. Countess Linda. Perhaps some neighbors will be pilgrims too, and you can start together in a band. Agatha. Not from these hills. People are busy here. The beasts want tendance. One who is not missed can go and pray for others who must work. I owe it to all neighbors, young and old, for they are good past thinking, lads and girls, given to mischief, merry naughtiness, quieted as the hedgehogs smooth their spines, for fear of hurting poor old Agatha. 'Tis pretty. Why, the cherubs in the sky look young and merry, and the angels play on citherns, lutes, and all sweet instruments. I would have young things merry, see the Lord, a little baby playing with the birds, and how the Blessed Mother smiles at him. Countess Linda. I think you are too happy, Agatha, to care for heaven. Earth contents you well. Agatha. Nay, nay, I shall be called, and I shall go, right willingly. I shall get helpless, blind, be like an old stalk to be plucked away. The garden must be cleared for young spring plants. 'Tis home beyond the grave. The most are there, all those we pray to, all the church's lights, and poor old souls are welcome in their rags. One sees it by the pictures. Good Saint Anne, the Virgin's mother, she is very old, and had her troubles with her husband too. Poor Kate and Nell are younger far than I, but they will have this roof to cover them. I shall go willingly, and willingness makes the yoke easy and the burden light. Countess Linda. When you go southward in your pilgrimage, come to see me in Freiburg, Agatha. Where you have friends, you should not go to inns. Agatha. Oh yes, I will gladly come to see you, lady, and you will give me sweet hay for a bed, and in the morning I shall wake betimes and start when all the birds begin to sing. Countess Linda. You wear your smart clothes on the pilgrimage, such pretty clothes as all the women here keep by them for their best, a velvet cap and collar gold embroidered. They look very well on old and young alike. Agatha. Nay, I have none. Never had better clothes than those you see. Good clothes are pretty, but one sees them best when others wear them, and I somehow thought 'twas not worth while. I had so many things more than some neighbors. I was partly shy of wearing better clothes than they, and now I am so old and custom is so strong, 'twould hurt me sore to put on finery. Countess Linda. Your gray hair is a crown, dear Agatha. Shake hands, good-bye, the sun is going down, and I must see the glory from the hill. I stayed among those hills and oft heard more of Agatha. I'd like to hear her name, as that of one half grand dame and half saint, uttered with reverent playfulness. The lads and younger men all called her mother, aunt, or granny, with their pet diminutives, and bade their lasses and their brides behave right well to one who surely made a link twixt faulty folk and God by loving both. Not one but counted service done by her, asking no pay save just her daily bread. At feasts and weddings, when they passed in groups along the vale, and the country wine, being vocal in them, made them choir along and quaintly mingled mirth and piety. They fain must jest and play some friendly trick on 3 old maids. But when the moment came, always they bated breath, and made their sport gentle as feather stroke, that Agatha might like the waking for the love it showed. Their songs made happy music mid the hills, for nature turned their race to harmony, and poet Hans, the tailor, wrote them songs that grew from out their life as crocuses grow in the meadow's moistness. 'Twas his song they oft sang, wending homeward from a feast. The song I give you, it brings in, you see, their gentle jesting with the 3 old maids. Midnight by the chapel bell, homeward, homeward, all farewell. I with you and you with me, miles are short with company. Heart of Mary, bless the way, keep us all by night and day. Moon and stars at feast with night now have drunk their fill of light. Home they hurry, making time, trot apace like merry rhyme. Heart of Mary, mystic rose, send us all a sweet repose. Swiftly through the wood downhill, run till you can hear the mill. Tony's ghost is wandering now, shaped just like a snow-white cow. Heart of Mary, morning star, ward off danger near or far. Tony's wagon with its load fell and crushed him in the road. 'Twixt these pine trees, never fear, give a neighbor's ghost good cheer. Holy Babe, our God and brother, bind us fast to one another. Hark! The mill is at its work. Now we pass beyond the murk to the hollow where the moon makes her silvery afternoon. Good Saint Joseph, faithful spouse, help us all to keep our vows. Here the 3 old maidens dwell, Agatha and Kate and Nell. See, the moon shines on the thatch. We will go and shake the latch. Heart of Mary, cup of joy, give us mirth without alloy. Hush! 'Tis here, no noise, sing low, rap with gentle knuckles so, like the little tapping birds on the door, then sing good words. Meek-sacred Anna, old and fair, hallow all the snow-white hair. Little maidens old, sweet dreams, sleep one sleep till morning beams. Mothers ye who help us all, quick at hand if ill befall. Holy Gabriel, lily laden, bless the aged mother maiden. Forward, mount the broad hillside, swift as soldiers where they ride. See the 2 towers, how they peep, round-capped giants o'er the steep. Heart of Mary, by thy sorrow, keep us upright through the morrow. Now they rise quite suddenly, like a man from bended knee. Now St. Mergen is in sight. Here the roads branch off. Good night. Heart of Mary, by thy grace, give us with the saints a place. End of Agatha by George Eliot. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Alchemy, a Symphonic Poem by Robert Hillier. Read for LibriVox.org by Arden. February 12, 2025. The Prelude. Poet 1,000 years hence, singer of times more dead to me than the past, face calm, unquestioned innocence, eyes with unworldly vision overcast, singer and poet, remember me in the dust, when children whistling down the hills of doom run stealthy-footed by my tomb, when withered leaves lie heaped in scarlet rust, or whirl along the chilly gust, when trees stand gaunt and stark, and the fountain freezes in the vacant park. I would speak to you shyly as fits my case, since to you these inquisitive years have run their race, and written their answers in your face. Will you hear me speak across the years, in the night's high choirs, under the hanging spheres, when the comets trail their fires, through glassy zeniths where all thought and light expires? Oh, be my friend, and I will be your brother, and we shall sing strange songs to one another. I will be gay with you and share your laughter during your carnival. Thereafter, hearing you weep, I too will shed my tears. Behold this early autumn morning, trees still green though petulantly whispering, their leaves rattling in the fitful breeze, their accents sadder and a little harsh, discord of scraping bow on broken string. Faint mist and spiral filters from the marsh and creeps along the hill. I too have known this overtone of fall that quivers into sharp delight. You feel it now, the chill upon the moors, the pungent morning and the perilous night. You smell the scattered smoke of smoldering leaves. You hear the lost winds whining in the eaves, like ghosts of troubadours. Cup-bearing spring is gone, but her wine remains, spilled on the crimson plains, and the hills reeling with color beneath the sun, overflowing the walls of tombs and the dun, disaster of forest rent by the woodman's axe. The buffeting wind curtails her brusque attacks, and the woodland sleeps storm-surfeited. You will have other woods when mine are dead, for the years and pageants go their rounds to a monotonous singing, rising and ebbing sounds from the April wind rain bringing, that slants across the night with songs of green herbs springing, to the loud tramping blizzards of December, screaming forget to a world that would remember. Cycle on cycle wheeling by, and you alone, poised on the brink of the reticent unknown, seeking the pivot of the whirling change that flings us on, disconsolate and strange. The first canto. Out of a dreary house I came, from long communion with the dead, down somber wind-swept streets that led, between grey walls eternally the same. My uncompanioned footsteps beat, a clangor down the empty street, until the city fell away from me, and suddenly I stood alone, on shores uncharted and unknown, where tall rocks break the wild teeth of the sea. Then on the breathless midnight came rumors of approaching flame. The chariots rumbled down the skies, striking out flashes of tremendous light. With flaming swords the veil of night flared as those battling centuries swept through the firmament and passed and ceased. A new wind struggled from the east. The sea fell back with intermittent moan. One last flash quivered down the cloud, and in that moment I beheld the stone. It lay half hidden, trodden underfoot, with dead leaves heaped upon it like a shroud, clasped intricately in the tangled root of a tree that another storm had overthrown. Not I the first to find it, nor the last. Many have found it in the storied past. Many will come whose stories are not told. Plato beheld it when the age of gold flowered beneath his touch, exalting it against the skies he saw, faces that blinded him with awe, and marveling overmuch, he cast it down and left its shining worth, half hidden in the untransmuted earth. Swiftly, and like a deity, he strode unto the cities where all men abode, and caves whose walls were black with busy shadows. O you whose lives among the shades are past, I saw beyond your caves the radiant meadows, where dwell the immortal forms by whom are cast these flat, distorted phantoms. Speed you forth, on wings beyond the mountains of the north, ride out upon the chariots of the storms. Behold the vast, incalculable forms, whose smallest thought, reflected on your walls, gives token of supernal carnivals, and in whose minds the being was conceived, of which you are the vague, wan spectres. Go, and they that see aright shall live and know. Thus Plato spoke, few heard and none believed. Then Epicurus came, he found the stone, and touched the world around him into gold, and cast the stone away, nor would unfold the gilded vistas Plato gazed upon. Beneath his eyes the dawn lay all serene, the earth reclining like a virgin queen, offered her happiness to man, who fled her raptures, harried by a cynic dread. O you whose lives are past bemoaning death, propitiating gods with futile breath, wisdom is that which sets the spirit free from fears of death or hopes of life to be, in sorrow vested in tranquility, in joy discreet, that chance may not enslave a mind to things which only fools should crave. Immortal gods may dwell in those fantastic fields of asphodel, beautiful, perfect, young, immaculate, but what care they of men or human fate? If life be but a wavering shade, what then? If it be worthy in the eyes of men, a calm, deep draught of beauty. All the rest is but the midnight's momentary guest. Thus Epicurus in the garden spoke, as one who knew the secret of the stone. But through the summer evening there was smoke, out of tall temples blown, across the world to where one walked alone. Another garden slept beneath the night, where Jesus walked, and there was not a star, only the silence, and afar the city spread into a fan of light. He found the stone, and turned away again, trembling that beauty was so rife with pain, nor touched the sky to gold, nor touched the earth, but gave them both to darkness where abide those that make war against our mortal mirth, slim, broken saints sublimely crucified, that hover on the fringe of eventide, and saying God is love, left Godhead still, a menace on an unfamiliar hill. Oh, write new gospels in another tongue, unknown to mystic or to pantheist, how love the alchemist divinely came, out of the nether blackness and the mist, how in the empty firmament he hung, the constellations in a whirl of flame, and hid the stone of beauty to transmute the barren plains to gardens gold with fruit, to change the filthy city into gold, dark streets to leaping rivers, pallid faces, to torches gleaming in the outland places, so that through all these things clear eyes behold the blades of life escaping from the mold. Who sets his heart on unsubstantial God shall never enter into God's abode. Whoever scorns the flesh contemns the spirit, from whom the flesh derives her golden merit. Even as the moon, shepherdess of the tide, draws from the covered sun her veil of light, and rides across the sky to meet the night, and sinks into his arms his occult bride. To love is to adore the earth and bring forth children of her beauty, offering to mortal love a mortal's counterpart, and unto nature love children of art, seeking in finite things the precious grain of hidden beauty that shall yield its gain into the joyous hands of the master player of life, but never to a hollow prayer. Midnight looms upon her throne, the sea retreats with wintry moan along the sedge-grown margins of the world. Cities lie curled, like gleaming serpents poisoning the shore. Blank walls surround the soul once more. Ahead there lies the long, unbroken street, whose pounding pavements wound my feet, like monstrous blossoms here and there. Garish arc lights splash the air, and ever like a curious hymn, the throb of ponderous wheels, remote and dim, pervades the shriller voices of the night. Before my sight, the brawling thieves and murderers pass, and now and then some slender lass regards me with a twisted smile, and bids me rest with her awhile. Blaring sounds from curtained halls, where puppets whirl in bacchanals, and under stately roofs make mirth, the great and wealthy of the earth, the worst in thieves, the worst in whores, secure behind their carven doors. A stunted elm tree in the park leans shrinking in the friendly dark, unnecessary shame to hide your honest crippled boughs, where all, in this mad tinsel festival, are stunted worse than you for all their pride. Can such base metal be indeed transmuted into flawless gold? Can any growth from such a seed come forth for clear eyes to behold? O joyous stone whence music springs through the loud distance of daily things, and struggles up with undefeated wings to the high watchtowers where the lover sings. Out of the ignoble ore cast aside upon the shore, out of this, as was decreed, flawless gold shall come indeed. From the stars I saw the world, like a blowing ember swirled through the aisles and vaults of space, one of countless motes of dust, fanned by every changing gust, floating in a soundless place. Out of that one grain shall be, dedicate to deity, from that grain the deathless tree, and the lark of dawn that sings, wisdom, life, divinity, singing now, as she began, the beauty of incarnate man, love of flesh, of sky, of sea, love of life in mortal things, love. The second canto. In solemn march the stars' white torches pass across the void's illimitable glass. In solemn march the thunder chariots form their blazing ranks across the midnight storm. In the beginning was the word of gold, flung out in wheeling accent rolled, from deep to deep, from sphere to empty sphere, blown into cadences of age and year, spun into echoes over envious silence, sung into worlds against oblivion. being against non-being, love and hate, light against dark, the word against grim silence, reverberant from sun to sun, and through the dim night desolate, dancing in flames across the trembling spheres. Comets the heralds, planets the pioneers, the seed of love awaking in the deep, pierced like a dream the sullen mass of sleep, mounted slowly, waving its wings against the dark, kindling a sudden spark, an aboriginal repose, flight, striking through layer after layer of night, ascending, with straining gesture and resounding breath, rising, ascending still, through twilight never-ending, monstrous lowering shapes contending, wings shattered against the icy chill, hurled down again into the depths of death, inarticulately swept beyond the reaches of existence, like a dead leaf down uncharted streets beyond all time and distance, tempest-driven, broken pinions through the spaces terrifying, blown athwart the howling winds of winter, frantic voices crying, through interminable twilight, voices of the dying, hurled downward into darkness and the silence of the snows. Out of the pit of non-existence glows another flame, and out of quiet springs the rhythm of uprising wings. The agile music of creative love surprises the abyss with joyful din. Pulsating lights come surging in, out of the east and west, splashing a spray of glittering stars above night's overtowering crest. Out of the south and north, white hands assault the portals of the dead. The great doors yield and swing, flame-garmented. Life rushes forth. Out of the house of death step forth the stars. Green impulse moves the slowly thawing ground. Succeeding waves of life climb up the bars, and flood the vacant shore with forms and sound. Friend clings to friend, sonorous words of sound. The ancient hush, and through the brooding night, the resolute torch-bearer goes his round, while beacon after beacon flares to light, giving to eager eyes their little zones of sight. Harpers and dancers pass before the flame. Prophets and gods and kings and demons fill the vision, and then vanish as they came, from dark to dark into the outer chill. The wind that wakes the outposts on the hill sings not of them nor of their mournful story, for suddenly bright bats of color spill upon the shining sea, and fiery glory outlines the path of dawn behind the promontory. Out of the drifting fog wan figures creep, who have outwatched the night, and from the clay, rising resplendent from their age of sleep, old dreamers wait to hail the exultant day. In vain the lingering winter frosts delay. There comes a spring they never shall destroy. These are the feet that dance upon their way. Pass on, immortal girl, immortal boy. Yours are the feet that dance, invincible with joy. The eyes that only knew the dark discover wide valleys and ripe hills and crystal wells. Today the loveless has found love. The lover sings through the forest, chasing miracles. The brazen noon reverberates with bells that ring no hour, but new delights, and then each hermit soul withdraws where wisdom dwells, to wait the twilight when all leaves and men sink tranquilly into their mother's arms again. The shriveled seed drops from the open husk, and falls unnoticed to the frosty ground. The frozen pond reflects the fading dusk, and tangled naked birches that surround its margin loom against the snowy mound of some forgotten tomb. All speech has passed, utterly into silence, sound by sound. The planet has burned out, a cinder cast, into the dim confusion of the outer blast. Who awakens in the night? What sounds are those that stir the void out of inert repose? What dancer dares to tread the glassy crust, where life lies folded in defeated dust? What flight is that which smites the icy air? The words of life respond from sphere to sphere, across unbroken deserts where the snow is deep. Vague horns of fire float upward, ponderous thunders creep along invisible horizons. Troubled ashes quicken with warmth, as out of non-existence flies unconquerable light demanding dawn, circling the resistant zenith, striking out tremendous flashes, beating on the cliffs of darkness, breaking into starry spawn, pushing fiercely out of chaos, soaring into gaping spaces, tearing dark from dark and hurling meteors down the skies, crowding into outland places, calling from the ruined plain, voices of the passing seasons faltering into rain, swirling light and darkness blending, wrestling, swaying, light ascending, struggling forms uprising to the dawn's faint rim, shouting the word, the loud spring morning hymn, then suddenly, supremely lifted over, they rise into the sun, the loved one and the lover. The third canto. Fair child whom I have loved, companion still, the loneliness of my long errantry, be thou the track of moonlight on the sea, the calm retreat beneath the sunny hill, in leaves unclasping on the earliest tree, in autumn evenings when the dews distill their frosty music on the prairies, fill the doubtful silence with clear minstrelsy. Could Lucifer, quenched angel of the light, have found his God in thee as I have done, he had not warred against the rising sun, nor fallen into the unending night. Thou who hast planted dark oblivion, with gracious seeds to flower in my sight, I thank thee that mine eyes have seen aright the lustrous threads which beauty's hands have spun beneath the tawdry world's external dross. I thank thee, gentle guardian of the stone, that thou hast led me to this dazzling zone, from withered fields, from shadows of the cross. Thy work is done, go forth in peace alone. Having achieved so much, I count no loss, knowing how ruthless are the storms that toss our fates apart. Thy best is still my own. In thee there dwelled the mighty alchemist, love, who was bounded by no living wall. Thou art gone hence, but still I am his thrall, and surely know that from those lips I kissed, I drew the secret wisdom that shall call the dead to meet at life's eventual tryst, when from brief beauty all things that exist shall rise into the light perpetual. Love bade me touch the iron into gold, and first I touched thy hands, thine eyes, thy lips, gave utterance to holy comradeships, whose mysteries to lovers' ears are told. And then beneath my earthly sun's eclipse, he gravely bade me touch the manifold recesses of dread nature, and behold the vaster hands, the vaster eyes and lips. Yet be thou still the symbol of all grace, elusive child of starlight and of dawn. Be thou the ray by which the tide is drawn before my ship's unhesitating pace. Be thou the tree upon my summer lawn, the chorister above my resting place, and bend toward me the quiet of thy face when other faces and delights are gone. Spark of ascending light, from thee I learned love's alchemy and purifying hate. Love that hath gleamed like gold within my gate, love that with searing scorn to dust hath burned the bitter ugliness of envious fate, and in one autumn interval hath turned all things that in the universe have yearned toward beauty into gold immaculate, where brooding hills lean over the deep lake, whose empty shores re-echoed all my cries. I watched the sun go down those final skies, and gave my youth to sorrow for thy sake. In meager city streets my sleepless eyes have glimpsed frail images of thee, to wake the old desire once more, and overtake the phantom horsemen of our memories. That time is past, and once again I stand beneath wide sunsets after many days. Here are the hills' forlorn familiar ways, and there the city indolent and bland. My hills I bless with outstretched arms of praise. Over my city I hold forth my hand, and smile at last, as through the friendly land steals the slow color of the evening haze. And now the dusk is come, when battles cease, when light and dark together lie in peace. The freighted galley of our sorrow steers into the harbor of the golden fleece. The spirit opens to the stars and hears the wings of love that brush the trembling spheres. The fourth canto. The one creator, giver of all light, touches the world with beauty's glowing stone. The naked form of being struggles through the night, and through contending silence strikes the word. The end and the beginning are as one. The ring of light encircles the abyss of dark in one unbroken arc. Amid the circle lies the stone, drawing the flashing ring inward across the intervening zone. The columns of the universe are stirred by challenges flung out and echoing. The resolute torchbearer pushes on, striding across the gulf from sun to sun, kindling the stars in space, kindling the spring in the reluctant snows of the desert place, moving the tides across the drowsy sea, drawing the spirit toward one face, as a ship to the port where she would be, flowering undefiled after the spring, in harvest time and childbearing, planting the seeds of stars, of trees, of men, sowing the wombs of space, of soil, of flesh, that beauty may live again, and after winter, summer rise afresh, planting the seeds of color and of song, In the deep caverns of the artist's mind, to whom the secrets of the gods belong, alone among his kind, the sterile and the false shall burn away beneath the stone's hot ray. Gold in flesh and soul shall be, reconsecrate to deity, to live and to create, wisely to love, wisely to hate. These are the syllables the forest sings. These are the letters on the sky's wide scroll, the answers shouted by innumerable springs to all the wintry questions of the soul. The ugly children of oblivion, oblivion shall claim, when beauty laughs beneath the sun, washed in flame. Defile not beauty, you that would not wound life that struggles from the void. The bloated eyes of lust, the mind untuned, shall pass again into the vacant dark. They who destroy shall be in turn destroyed, nor feel the alchemist's transmuting spark. The gleaming shafts of sunlight strike the crags, swift arrows from the radiant archer's bow. Across the ocean like defeated flags, torn into shreds the winter hazes blow. From hills incalculably far I hear a grinding avalanche of melting snow, leaving the upland meadows moist and clear, where early blades and slender fingers grope upward to feel the sparkling atmosphere. The trees that cling to the precarious slope, the stunted trees that lie along the ground, reveal the shy confessions of their hope, and swell with leaves the half-forgotten sound when falling water quickens the still air. Within the city's unpropitious round of toil and food and steady-faced despair, a subtle smile creeps down the muddy street. Insistent green arises from the bare, scant soil of parks, and the keen wind is sweet. Beside the bay where seagulls flash and glance, some music seems to call the aching feet to play again, and bright uncouth romance shines out of hungry eyes, as new desire suggests new joys, the same that could entrance pharaohs of Egypt, galley slaves of Tyre, beggars and kings and clerks, the same that heaves the ancient mountains into gusts of fire, that rides into the maze the forest weaves, that kindles all things man has thought or done, that scatters into space the silver sheaves of stars, that still shall plant oblivion, until there be no void, only the infinite sun. The clarions call across the interim of space, call to the lovers of the earth. The drums of death answer, heavy and dim. Shake out the music of the ancient hymn. Shake out new leaves, thrice consecrated trees. Blaze into light, new stars, new galaxies. Pass on, O laughing face, O voice of mirth. Pass on, O mighty hearts that dare to break. Pass on, O lovers of all men and things. The sullen depths of silence heave and shake with the sudden thunder of uprising wings. In vain the winter tempests crush them down. In vain the black smoke rises from the town. In vain the wide free pasture lands are scarred with hideous forms at war against the light. In vain the scientist invokes the night. In vain, new universes starred, innumerably bridge the new abyss. Pass on, white rapture of the virgin kiss. Pass on, great artist souls of all the world. In vain the dangerous winds are hurled against your towers. In vain the fierce snows hiss against your palaces of truth and dream. They shall not quiet the indomitable theme. They shall not freeze the flooding stream. They shall not halt the souls that teem and splendor up the shadowy air, nor cloud the free horizons where new suns ascend. The flame of being rings infinity, flawless, without beginning, without end. Out of the center of all worlds that be, dart the fine rays of beauty till they meet the ring of life, and they shall meet. Pass on, O dancing feet. Pass on, immortal girl, immortal boy. Pass on, dear stricken faces of the brave, who bade love rise from the beloved's grave. Pass on, white feet of joy. Pass on, O voice of mirth, and all you fair and happy of the earth. Pass on abundantly, you that have sought the hidden gold, you whose beauty shall unfold upon the tree. Pass on, for you the morning sings, the glory of all earthly things. For you the harvest of all springs, wisdom, life, divinity, love, the coda. Poet 1,000 years hence, my windows darken, and the lonely sense of gaping time subdues my distant cry. You will awake beneath another sky. The forest I have loved you will not know. The face that I have sought you will not meet. My meadows green with youth are blue with snow. my shady arbors and my garden seat, all things that made my senses shrink or glow, less than a curious episode upon a gypsy road. Yet when you also issue from that door, whose fiery lintel you shall pass no more, and seek the solace of the empty shore, when the flood tide comes thundering in against the hollow drum of sand, with a deep reverberating din, as though the stars, the skies, and all that is, were massed behind those marching symphonies, will you not stand and cry aloud above the sifting gale, as I have cried long since, Hail, Master, hail! Thy pulse is mine, thy conflict too is mine. In me behold thine image, I am thine, and walk with thee, triumphant and divine. Love that hath planted being's fruitful spark, to flower and to flame amid the dark. Love that hath hidden in the tangled root of earthly things the mystic gem of beauty. Love that hath set no task nor any duty in life, except to live in very deed, and nourish well the blossom of the fruit. Love that sets every unsubstantial creed at naught, that life may shimmer with delight, performing miracles before my sight, so that the world becomes a lover's face, and every glade a holy trysting place, and everywhere the joy of hill and tree, and light transfiguring mortality. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Theo Douglas. Seattle, Washington, July 2025. From childhood's hour, I have not been. As others were, I have not seen. As others saw, I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrow, I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone, and all I loved alone. Thou, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Art and Heart by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Theo Douglas. Seattle, Washington, July 2025. Though critics may bow to art, and I am its own true lover, it is not art, but heart, which wins the wide world over. Though smooth be the heartless prayer, no ear in heaven will mind it, and the finest phrase falls dead, if there is no feeling behind it. Though perfect the player's touch, little, if any, he sways us, unless we feel his heart throb through the music he plays us. Though the poet may spend his life in skillfully rounding a measure, unless he writes from a full, warm heart, he gives us little pleasure. So it is not the speech which tells, but the impulse which goes with the saying, and it is not the words of the prayer, but the yearning back of the praying. It is not the artist's skill, which into our soul comes stealing, with a joy that is almost pain, but it is the player's feeling, and it is not the poet's song, though sweeter than sweet bells chiming, which thrills us through and through, but the heart which beats under the rhyming. And therefore I say again, though I am art's own true lover, that it is not art, but heart, which wins the wide world over. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Baby by Jeremiah Eames Rankin. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. Nae shone to hide her tiny toes, nae stocking on her feet, her supple ankles white as snow, or early blossoms sweet. Her simple dress is sprinkled pink, her double dimplet chin, her puckered lips and balmy mouth with no one tooth within. Her een so like her mother's een, twa gentle liquid things. Her face is like an angel's face, we're glad she has nae wings. She is the budding of our love, a giftie God gied us. We mourn our love the gift our weal, 'twad be nae blessing thus. We still mourn love the giver mair, and see him in the given, and say she'll lead us up to him, our baby, straight fra heaven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Ballad of Dead Ladies by Andrew Lang. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. After Villon. Nay, tell me now in what strange air the Roman Flora dwells today, where Archipida hides, and where beautiful Thais has passed away. Whence answers echo afield, astray, by mere or stream, around, below, lovelier she than a woman of clay. Nay, but where is the last year's snow? Where is the wise Eloise that care brought on Abelard and dismay? All for her love he found a snare, a maimed poor monk in orders grey. And where's the queen who willed to slay Buridan, that in a sack must go afloat down Seine, a perilous way? Nay, but where is the last year's snow? Where's that white queen, a lily rare with her sweet song the sirens lay? Where's Bertha Broadfoot, Beatrice fair, Alice and Ermengarde, where are they? Good Joan, whom English did betray in Rouen town and burnt her, no maiden and queen, no man may say. Nay, but where is the last year's snow? Envoy. Prince, all this week thou needst not pray, nor yet this year the thing to know. One burden answers ever and aye. Nay, but where is the last year's snow? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Be Content by Augustus Treadwell. Read for LibriVox.org by Julian Thompson. Give man the power, and what he'll do no mortal tongue can tell. Heap crime on crime and ponder thoughts worse than in demons dwell. God made him capable of deeds of highest order given, acts that would catch an angel's smile and crown him heir of heaven. In essence, as an agent free to choose the good or evil, to serve the God that gave him breath or imitate a devil. Why grumble at misfortune's lot, should it your life o'erspread? Perchance it may be for the best God reigneth overhead. Wealth might your sure damnation be. Be strong and brave and true, content to breast the ills of life, ready to dare and do. If poor, thank God your life is cast beyond temptation's power, to lord it o'er your fellow man for life's brief transient hour. Sigh not for wealth or fame or power, stations of high degree. Fame's devotees are slaves to it, thank God you still are free. Rejoicing in an honest name, scorn deeds of shame and sin. Improve yourself a noble man from being pure within. Earth's sweetest flowers are lowliest born, seeds cast upon the waters, shall all be gathered by and by to bless earth's sons and daughters. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Bedridden Peasant to an Unknowing God by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Much wonder I, here long low laid, that this dead wall should be, betwixt the Maker and the maid, between thyself and me. For say one puts a child to nurse, he eyes it now and then, to know if better 'tis or worse, and if it mourn and when. But thou, Lord, giv'st us men our clay, in helpless bondage thus, to time and chance, and seem'st straightway to think no more of us. That some disaster cleft thy scheme, and tore us wide apart, so that no cry can cross, I deem, for thou art mild of heart, and wouldst not shape and shut us in where voice cannot be heard. 'Tis plain thou mean'st that we should win thy succor by a word. Might but thy sense flash down the skies like man's from clime to clime, thou wouldst not let me agonize through my remaining time. But seeing how much thy creatures bear, lame, starved, or maimed, or blind, thou'dst heal the ills with quickest care of me and all my kind. Then, since thou mak'st not these things be, but these things dost not know, I'll praise thee as were shown to me the mercies thou wouldst show. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. By the Earth's Corpse by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. O Lord, why grievest thou, since life has ceased to be upon this globe, now cold as lunar land and sea, and humankind and fowl and fur are gone eternally? All is the same to thee as ere they knew mortality. O time, replied the Lord, thou read'st me ill, I ween, where all the same I should not grieve at that late earthly scene, now blessedly past, though planned by me with interest close and keen. Nay, nay, things now are not the same as they have earlier been. Written indelibly on my eternal mind are all the wrongs endured by earth's poor patient kind, which my too oft unconscious hand let enter undesigned. No God can cancel deeds fordone, or thy old coils unwind. As when in Noah's days I whelmed the plains with sea, so at this last, when flesh and herb but fossils be, and all extinct their piteous dust revolves obliviously, that I made earth and life and man, it still repenteth me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
City Trees by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Read for LibriVox.org by PaulClayton. The trees along this city street, save for the traffic and the trains, would make a sound as thin and sweet as trees in country lanes, and people standing in their shade out of a shower undoubtedly would hear such music as is made upon a country tree. O little leaves that are so dumb against the shrieking city air, I watch you when the wind has come, I know what sound is there. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for LibriVox.org by Brian Gallegos. Sunset, an evening star, and one clear call for me. And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound or foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Day of the Lord by Charles Kingsley. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The day of the Lord is at hand, at hand. Its storms roll up the sky. The nations sleep starving on heaps of gold. All dreamers toss and sigh. The night is darkest before the morn. When the pain is sorest, the child is born, and the day of the Lord at hand. Gather you, angels of God, freedom and mercy and truth. Come, for the earth is grown coward and old. Come down and renew us her youth. Wisdom, self-sacrifice, daring and love. Haste to the battlefield, stoop from above to the day of the Lord at hand. Gather you, hounds of hell, famine and plague and war, idleness, bigotry, cant and misrule. Gather and fall in the snare. Hireling and Mammonite, bigot and knave, crawl to the battlefield, sneak to your grave, in the day of the Lord at hand. Who would sit down and sigh for a lost age of gold, while the Lord of all ages is here? True hearts will leap up at the trumpet of God, and those who can suffer can dare. Each old age of gold was an iron age too, and the meekest of saints may find stern work to do in the day of the Lord at hand. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Dryad by Alfred Goldsworthy Bailey. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. As smoke wreaths gather through an open door, a dimming haze to one who looks beyond, and seeks to answer secret time before she questions with a pregnant love profound. Like looking through a crystal gate, the land that stretches on with fancy's vesture hung seems mirrored where a master's magic hand to all the flights of fantasy has clung. There in a setting ripe with throbbing fire, as clear as ivory with the cloak flung wide, evokes within a passionate desire to fold in arms and there forever bide. Undraped except the golden hair's caress, light o'er the creamy shoulders' softened pose, that love might clasp and ever live to bless the breast that first in adoration rose, to crush forever in a warm embrace the bosom's fullness pliant symmetry, to seal expectant lips and see the face, and closing eyes that sparkle like the sea. The light translucent airy garment swerves with clinging loveliness, the silk decoy, and closes tight, sweet, soft, sensuous curves that melt the heart with agony of joy. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Easter by Joyce Kilmer. Read for LibriVox.org by Paula Messina. The air is like a butterfly with frail blue wings. The happy earth looks at the sky and sings. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Epilogue by D. H. Lawrence. Read for LibriVox.org by Theo Douglas. Seattle, Washington, July 2025. Patience, little heart. One day a heavy, June-hot woman will enter and shut the door to stay. And when your stifling heart would summon cool, lonely night, her roused breasts will keep the night at bay. Sitting in your room like two tiger lilies flaming on after sunset, destroying the cool, lonely night with the glow of their hot twilight. There in the morning, still, while the fierce, strange scent comes yet stronger, hot and red, till you thirst for the daffodils with an anguished, husky thirst that you cannot assuage when the daffodils are dead, and a woman of the dog days hold you engaged. Patience, little heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Fletcher McGee, from Spoon River Anthology, by Edgar Lee Masters. Read for LibriVox by Rags. She took my strength by minutes. She took my life by hours. She drained me like a fevered moon that saps the spinning world. The days went by like shadows, the minutes wheeled like stars. She took pity from my heart and made it into smiles. She was a hunk of sculptor's clay. My secret thoughts were fingers. They flew behind her pensive brow and lined it deep with pain. They set the lips and sagged the cheeks and drooped the eye with sorrow. My soul had entered in the clay, fighting like 7 devils. It was not mine. It was not hers. She held it, but its struggles modeled a face she hated, and a face I feared to see. I beat the windows and shook the bolts. I hid me in a corner, and then she died and haunted me for life. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Frost at Midnight by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Read for LibriVox by Lizzy Crofts. The frost performs its silent ministry, unhelped by any wind. The owlet's cry came loud, and hark, again, loud as before. The inmates of my cottage, all at rest, have left me to that solitude which suits abstruser musings. Save that at my side my cradled infant slumbers peacefully. 'Tis calm indeed, so calm that it disturbs and vexes meditation with its strange and extreme silentness. Sea, hill and wood, this populous village, sea and hill and wood, with all the numberless goings-on of life, inaudible as dreams. The thin blue flame lies on my low burnt fire, and quivers not. Only that film, which fluttered on the grate, still flutters there, the soul unquiet thing. Methinks its motion in this hush of nature gives it dim sympathies with me, who live, making it a companionable form, whose puny flaps and freaks the idling spirit by its own moods interprets, everywhere echo or mirror, seeking of itself, and makes a toy of thought. But, oh, how oft at school, with most believing mind, presageful have I gazed upon the bars, to watch that fluttering stranger. And as oft, with unclosed lids, already had I dreamt of my sweet birthplace, and the old church tower, whose bells, the poor man's only music, rang from morn to evening all the hot, fair day, so sweetly that they stirred and haunted me with a wild pleasure, falling on mine ear most like articulate sounds of things to come. So gazed I, till the soothing things I dreamt lulled me to sleep, and sleep prolonged my dreams. And so I brooded all the following morn, awed by the stern preceptor's face, mine eye fixed with mock study on my swimming book, save if the door half opened and I snatched a hasty glance. And still my heart leaped up, for still I hoped to see the stranger's face, townsman or aunt or sister more beloved, my playmate when we were both clothed alike. Dear babe, that sleepest cradled by my side, whose gentle breathings heard in this deep calm fill up the interspersed vacancies and momentary pauses of the thought. My babe, so beautiful, it thrills my heart with tender gladness thus to look at thee, and think that thou shalt learn far other lore, and in far other scenes. For I was reared in the great city, pent mid cloisters dim, and sought naught lovely but the sky and stars. But thou, my babe, shalt wander like a breeze by lakes and sandy shores, beneath the crags of ancient mountain and beneath the clouds, which image in their bulk both lakes and shores, and mountain crags. So shalt thou see and hear the lovely shapes and sounds intelligible of that eternal language which thy God utters, who from eternity doth teach himself in all, and all things in himself, great universal teacher. He shall mould thy spirit, and by giving make it ask. Therefore all seasons shall be sweet to thee, whether the summer clothe the general earth with greenness, or the redbreasts sit and sing twixt the tufts of snow on the bare branch of mossy apple tree, while the night thatch smokes in the sun thaw, whether the eve drops fall, heard only in the trances of the blast, or if the secret ministry of frost shall hang them up in silent icicles, quietly shining to the quiet moon. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Gallilean Pilot by William H. Richards. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. In the cold grey dawn of a passing morn, from a fated ship at sea, rose a parting prayer for one left there who gave his life for me. To an unknown shore I plied my oar with those unknown to me, who felt the strain in heart and brain, nearer, my God, to thee. To a captain true and a faithful few on a broken ship at sea, who gave their place with heavenly grace are dearer, Lord, to thee. No greater love is borne above by those who follow thee to the sweet refrain, we will meet again, nearer, my God, to thee. Thy spirit, Lord, with one accord was wafted o'er the sea by those whose strains of love remains nearer, my God, to me. The souls he saved from the ship that braved the icy isles at sea will dwell above in realms of love with thee, Pilot of Galilee. Inspired by the sinking of the Titanic. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Gift by Carrie Williams Clifford. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. A priceless gift within your hand is laid, a jewel fashioned by the master's art. No fleck or flaw bedims its perfect heart, more precious than are emeralds, opals, jade. This gift, for which gold never can be paid, is freely given by a friend whose part it is to teach its magic, to impart a knowledge of the why the gift was made. Possession of this talismanic gift, like old Aladdin's wonder lamp, will lift earth mortals high as heaven, rightly used, but doomed to Stygian darkness if abused. 'Tis yours to will what picture shall appear, the gift, a pure, unsullied, glad new year. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Holy Sonnet X by John Donne. Read for LibriVox.org by PaulClayton. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou think'st thou dost overthrow die not, poor Death, nor yet canst thou kill me. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure, then from thee much more must flow. And soonest our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and soul's delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men, and dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well, and better than thy stroke. Why swell'st thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Wish to Die in Summertime by Augustus Treadwell. Read for LibriVox.org by Julie Ann Thompson. I wish to die in summertime, when the roses are in bloom, when the air all rife with fragrance yields a magical perfume, when the daisies and the buttercups are spread o'er field and plain, and the lilies and the violets are scattered o'er the main. I would not die in springtime before the flowers are born, to spread o'er earth their loveliness, which then is in its morn. I would not leave them in their buds as half-expanded flowers. I'd rather see them blooming fair in sweet and fragrant bowers. I would not die in autumn, as nature's bloom decays, when shrill winds whistle through the trees or chant their requiem lays. The verdant leaves grow sere and brown, the forest's beauty fled, while nature's choicest, fairest gems are numbered with the dead. I would not die in winter, when earth is robed in snow, or chained with ice-bound fetters strong, and flowers have ceased to grow. I'd have no birds to sing their songs of sorrow over my grave, No verdant trees with drooping boughs would o'er my green grave wave. But I would die in summertime, when all is fair and bright, when earth with fairest verdures crowned, and all is life and light. No autumn winds, or wintry storms, or spring with half-blown flowers, but summer's gentle breath to waft my soul to heavenly bowers. Had I the power to wield the pen that writes when men shall die, I thus would write that my life's sun should set 'neath summer sky. Upon its fragrant balmy air my soul would upward rise, to find at last its perfect home, its rest beyond the skies. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Moods by Carrie Williams Clifford. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Daybreak in the meadow, and the song of the lark in the sky. All my hopes are winging and soaring, so high, so high. Nightfall in the forest, and the nightingale's sobbing song. All my hopes are dead, and the darkness so long, so long. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Moonsong by Mildred Plew Meggs. Read for LibriVox.org by Melissa DeSantis. Moonsong. Zoon, zoon, cuddle and croon over the crinkling sea. The moonman flings him a silvered net, fashioned of moonbeams 3. And some folks say when the net lies long and the midnight hour is ripe, the moonman fishes for some old song that fell from a sailor's pipe. And some folks say that he fishes the bars down where the dead ships lie, looking for lost little baby stars that slid from the slippery sky. And the waves roll out, and the waves roll in, and the nodding night wind blows. But why the moonman fishes the sea, only the moonman knows. Zoon, zoon, net of the moon rides on the wrinkling sea. Bright is the fret and shining wet, fashioned of moonbeams 3. And some folks say when the great net gleams and the waves are dusky blue, the moonman fishes for 2 little dreams he lost when the world was new. And some folks say in the late night hours, while the long thin shadows slide, the moonman fishes for cold sea flowers under the tumbling tide. And the waves roll out, and the waves roll in, and the gray gulls dip and doze. But why the moonman fishes the sea, only the moonman knows. Zoon, zoon, cuddle and croon over the crinkling sea. The moonman flings him a silvered net, fashioned of moonbeams 3. And some folks say that he follows the flecks down where the last light flows, fishing for 2 round gold-rimmed specks that blew from his button-like nose. And some folks say while the salt sea foams and the silver netlines snare, the moonman fishes for carven combs that float from the mermaid's hair. And the waves roll out, and the waves roll in, and the nodding night wind blows. But why the moonman fishes the sea? Only the moonman knows. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Nefarious War by Lee Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Caveat. Last year we fought by the headstream of the Socan. This year we are fighting on the Tsongho Road. We have washed our armor in the waves of the Chaochi Lake. We have pastured our horses on Tianshan's snowy slopes. The long, long war goes on 10,000 miles from home. Our 3 armies are worn and grown old. The barbarian does manslaughter for ploughing. On his yellow sand plains nothing has been seen but blanched skulls and bones. When the Qin emperor built the walls against the Tartar, there the defenders of Han are burning beacon fires. The beacon fires burn and never go out. There is no end to war. In the battlefield men grapple each other and die. The horses of the vanquished utter lamentable cries to heaven, while ravens and kites peck at human entrails, carry them up in their flight, and hang them on the branches of dead trees. So men are scattered and smeared over the desert grass, and the generals have accomplished nothing. O nefarious war! I see why arms were so seldom used by the benign sovereigns. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Night-Blooming Cereus by Harriet Monroe. Read for LibriVox.org by Rags. Flower of the moon, still white is her brow, whom we worshipped on earth long ago. Yea, purer than pearls in deep seas, and more virgin than snow. The dull years veil their eyes from her shining, and vanish afraid, nor profane her with age, the immortal, nor dim her with shade. It is we are unworthy, we worldlings, to dwell in her ways. We have broken her altars and silenced her voices of praise. She hath hearkened to singing more silvern, seen raptures more bright. To some planet more pure she hath fled on the wings of the night, flower of the moon. Yet she loveth the world that forsook her, for lo, once a year, she, Diana, translucent, pale, scintillant, down from her sphere, floateth earth-wind like star-laden music, to bloom in a flower. And our hearts feel the spell of the goodness once more for an hour. See, she sitteth in splendor, nor knoweth desire nor decay, and the night is a glory around her more bright than the day. And her breath hath the sweetness of worlds where no sorrow is known, and we long as we worship to follow her back to her own. Flower of the moon. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Nightmare Tarn by Clark Ashton Smith. From Weird Tales, November 1929. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothman. The Nightmare Tarn by Clark Ashton Smith. I sat beside the moonless tarn alone, in darkness where a mumbling air was blown. A molded air insufferably fraught with dust of plundered charnels. There was not in this my dream but darkness, and the wind, the blowing dust, the stagnant waters blind, and trees unknown, or pines or cypress, wherefrom a rain of ashes weariless at whiles fell on me, or was driven by to feed the tongueless tarn within the sky. The stars were like the falling phosphor, wan, in gutted tombs, wherefrom the worms have gone. But through the dust and ashes in one cloud blinded and stifled me as might a shroud. And though the foul, putrescent waters gave upon my face the phantoms of the grave, as if some rout of skeletons had washed the worm-spared tatters of their bones. Though all was black corruption and despair, I could not stir, like mandrake rooted there. And with mine every breath I seemed to raise the burden of some charnel of old days, where, tier by tier, the leaden coffins lie. While sluggish black eternities went by, I waited on the darkness of my dreams. There fell not a lantern flame nor lightning gleam, not any gleam of moon or sun. The wind, withdrawn as in some slighted tomb, declined, and all the dust was fallen. The waters drearier lay still as blood of corpses, loud and near. The cry of one who drowned in her despair came to me from the filthy tarn. The air shuddered, threatened, and all my heart was grown a place of fears the nether hell might own, the prey to monstrous wings and beaks maligned. For lo, the voice, O dearest love, was thine, and I could not stir. The dreadful weight of tomb on ancient tomb accumulate, lay on my limbs and stifled all my breath. And when I strove to cry, the dust of death had choked my mouth, nor any whisper came to answer thee, who called upon my name. The end of The Nightmare Tarn by Clark Ashton Smith. This recording is in the public domain.
The North Wind by Lee Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Caveat. The lamp-bearing dragon nestles over the polar gate, and his light illumines the frigid zone. For neither the sun nor the moon shines there, but only the north wind comes, blowing and howling from heaven. The snowflakes of the Yen Mountains are big like pillows. They are blown down, myriads together, over the Swan Yan Palace. 'Tis December. Lo, the pensive maid of Yu Chou. She will not sing, she will not smile. Her moth eyebrows are dishevelled. She stands by the gate and watches the wayfarers pass, remembering him who snatched his sword and went to save the borderland, him who suffered bitterly in the cold beyond the great wall, him who fell in the battle and will never come back. In the tiger-striped gold case he left for her, keeping there a pair of white feathered arrows, amid the cobwebs and dust gathered of long years. Oh, empty tokens of love, too sad to look upon. She takes them out and burns them to ashes. By building a dam one may stop the flow of the Yellow River, but who can assuage the grief of her heart when it snows and the north wind blows? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Of Her Chamber by Edmund Waller. Read for LibriVox.org by Public Domain Scholar. Of Her Chamber. They taste of death that do at heaven arrive, but we this paradise approach alive. Instead of death, the dart of love does strike, and renders all within these walls alike. The high in titles and the shepherd here forgets his greatness and forgets his fear. All stand amazed and gazing on the fair, lose thought of what themselves for others are, ambition lose and have no other scope, save Carlyle's favor to employ their hope. The Thracian could, though all those tales were true, the bold Greeks tell, no greater wonders do. Before his feet so sheep and lions lay, fearless and wrathless, while they heard him play. The gay, the wise, the gallant, and the grave, subdued alike, all but one passion have. No worthy mind but finds in hers there is something proportioned to the rule of his, while she with cheerful but impartial grace, born for no one, but to delight the race of men. Like Phoebus, so divides her light, and warms us, that she stoops not from her height. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Of a Tree Cut in Paper by Edmund Waller. Read for LibriVox.org by Public Domain Scholar. Of a Tree Cut in Paper. Fair hand that can on virgin paper write, yet from the strain of ink preserve it white, whose travel o'er that silver field does show, like the track of leverets in morning snow. Love's image thus, in purest minds, is wrought, without a spot or blemish, to the thought. Strange that your fingers should the pencil foil, without the help of colours or of oil. For though a painter boughs and leaves can make, 'tis you alone can make them bend and shake, whose breath salutes your new created grove, like southern winds, and makes it gently move. Orpheus could make the forest dance, but you can make the motion and the forest too. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On a Fine Morning by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Whence comes solace? Not from seeing what is doing, suffering being, not from noting life's conditions, nor from heeding time's monitions, but in cleaving to the dream, and in gazing at the gleam, whereby grey things golden seem. Thus do I this heyday holding, shadows but as lights unfolding, as no specious show this moment, with its irised embowment, but as nothing other than part of a benignant plan, proof that earth was made for man. February 1899. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Read for LibriVox.org. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a satted visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear, My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Poets by Joyce Kilmer. Read for LibriVox.org by Paula Messina. Vain is the chiming of forgotten bells that the wind sways above a ruined shrine. Vainer his voice in whom no longer dwells hunger that craves immortal bread and wine. Light songs we breathe that perish with our breath, out of our lips that have not kissed the rod. They shall not live who have not tasted death. They only sing who are struck dumb by God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Put Out My Eyes by Rainier Maria Rilke. Translated by Babette Deutsch and Avram Yarmolinsky. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Put out my eyes, and I shall see you too. Seal up my ears, and I shall hear you still. And without feet I yet can go to you, and with no mouth adjure you, and I will. Break off my arms, and I shall hold you fast, even with my heart, as though it were a hand. Arrest my heart,
My brain to throb is sworn, and if into my brain you fling a brand, yet on my very blood you will be born. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Seeking by Mary Aldis. Read for LibriVox.org by M. Lee. Swift like the lark out of the dark, one cometh singing. Silent in flight out of the night, answer is winging. Forth to the dawn leaps like a fawn, a cry of high greeting. Into the sun, two that have run, seeking are meeting. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Serenade by Pierre Dupont. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. All roses are alike to me the myriad flowers that Maytime in its sunny glee spreads on the valleys and the bowers. But in the garland of young girls, which glows in fragrance to the sun, I worship, and I see but one, my pearl of flowers, my flower of pearls. Each planet and each wandering star dancing in circles in the skies lull some young fool to dreams afar, but all are sisters in my eyes, for all the lights that round us shine, all that a maddened brain romances are nothing, darling, to the glances from those soft, loving eyes of thine. The nightingale may sing and die, and still on that same linden tree another bird will love and sigh before the first has ceased to be. The sweetest songs we mortals hear in this dull, struggling world below all fail to soothe our grief, our woe, save thy soft, thrilling accents, dear. Let all the sweet flowers fade away, let all the songbirds die of love, the cheery light forsake the day, the stars fade in the heavens above, rather than that my rose of girls, my star of gold, my passionate song, should suffer half a moment's wrong, my pearl of flowers, my flower of pearls. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sleeper by Duncan Campbell Scott. Read for LibriVox.org by Max Soundwell. The Sleeper. Touched with some divine repose, Isabel has fallen asleep. Like the perfume from the rose, in and out her breathings creep. Dewy are her rosy palms, in her cheek the flashes flit, and a dream her spirit calms with the pleasant thought of it. All the rounded heavens show like the concave of a pearl, stars amid the opal glow, little fronds of flame unfurl. Then up floats a planet strange, not the moon that mortals know, with a magic mountain range, cones and craters white as snow. Something different, yet the same, rain by rainbows glorified, roses lit with lambent flame, 'tis the maid-moon's other side. When the sleeper floats from sleep, she will smile the vision o'er, see the veined valleys deep, no one ever saw before. Yet the moon is not betrayed. Ah, the subtle Isabel, she's a maiden and a maid, maiden secrets will not tell. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Solacia by Alfred Goldsworthy Bailey. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. When I look back through the fading years, as ships pass out to sea, a purple mist seems, golden-kissed, to follow after me. But when I gaze the dimming maze, bathes all with mystery. There was a day when all was gray, and not a tear was shed, when sobbing grief stole like a thief upon a heart that bled, and like a sage of broken age it drooped its shaggy head. But then the mist grew golden-kissed, and sped those dark alarms. Then love with eyes as blue as skies revealed her virgin charms. And ere I heard her raptured word, I held her in my arms. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Song of Luchar by Li Po, read for LibriVox.org by Caveat. Really, I am a madman of Chu, singing the phoenix bird's song and laughing at the sage of Confucius. At dawn, a green jade staff in my hand, I leave the yellow crane house and go, seeking genie among the 5 mountains, forgetting the distance. All my life I've loved to visit the mountains of renown. The Lushan looms near the constellation of the South Dipper, like a 9-fold screen adorned with embroidery of clouds, and the clear lake reflects its gleaming emerald. 2 peaks shoot up high, where the gold gate opens wide, and over against the far waterfall of the Censer Mountain, the cascades of San Shi Liang hang like the silver river of heaven. The craggy ranges overreach the azure blue, and girdled in pink mist and green foliage, they glisten in the morning sun. The birds cannot fly over to the remote skies of Wu. I ascend the high place and look out on heaven and earth. Lo, the waters of the great Kiang flow on, never to return. Anon, blowing yellow clouds miles upon miles, the wind arises, and through the 9 provinces white billows roll like mountains of snow. I love to make the song of Luchan. Luchan is my joy and inspiration. I gaze idly into the stone mirror to cleanse my soul. Like the path Prince Sherr went is lost under deep green moss. I've swallowed early the sacred pellet and forsaken all worldly desires. Playing on the harp thrice over, I've attained the way. I see genie amid the iridescent clouds afar. Going up to the celestial city with lotus in their hands, I shall meet the inimitable above the 9th heaven. Then, with Lu So, I hope to journey to the great void. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet XXIII by William Shakespeare. Read for LibriVox.org by Tom Merritt. As an unperfect actor on the stage, who with his fear is put beside his part, or some fierce thing replete with too much rage, whose strength's abundance weakens his own heart, so I, for fear of trust, forget to say the perfect ceremony of love's rite, and in mine own love's strength seem to decay, or charged with burthen of mine own love's might. Oh, let my looks be then the eloquence, and dumb presagers of my speaking breast, who plead for love, and look for recompense more than that tongue that more hath more expressed. Oh, learn to read what silent love hath writ. To hear with eyes belongs to love's fine wit. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Sparrow Alone on the Housetop by H. Lavinia Bailey. Read for LibriVox.org by M. Lee. Sing, little sparrow, sing thy song. No peril neareth thee, though night be dark or day be long, or clouds hang low. Sing on, the dear God heareth thee. Sing, little bird, whate'er befall, trill out thine utmost need. Thou canst not soar, thou canst not fall, but he will note who knoweth all, and he thy plaint will heed. O little sparrow, far and high, thy soft notes Godward go, and I with thee send up my cry, and both shall somewhere find reply. God careth for us so. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Spell of the Sea by Thomas Fleming Day. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. The Spell of the Sea. By the sea I sit and dream of things that have passed, and now are fading as fades the gleam of sail on the ocean's brow. And I hear that song again she sang to the world before. Men had crossed her glittering plain to die on the further shore. 'Tis a song that, like the wind in a stormy counterpart, rouses and rolls the restless mind till it breaks against the heart, till it hurls its foam amen on the reefs which gird that lee, and the heart is swept again by that yearning for the sea. Ah, the sea, it sings that song whenever the moon is full, whenever the wind is strong and the tides are bountiful, and it throws a spell o'er one that my heart cannot withstand. So clearly do I foresee that I shall not die on land. End of recording. This recording is in the public domain.
The Still Cold Miles by Alfred Goldsworthy Bailey. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Sitting all alone on a still cold night, listening to the tone and the whining of the trees, in vast unbroken quiet of the still cold light that breaks in silent riot through the heavens and the breeze. Sitting all alone while the still cold miles reach beyond the cone and the crater at its peak, read among the darkness where a haunting figure smiles, and the rolling hills in starkness seem with agonies to wreak. Seem with agonies to wreak all the still cold miles, where the silent toilers seek for a light beyond the skies, leaden with the clouds that darken out the stars with their crimson-tinted shrouds from the crater's molten bars. And the agonies are carried on the still cold air to a vulture on the hilltop in its cold, cold lair. And the vulture waits impatient as it waited yesternight, keeping vigil o'er the still cold miles. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Stradivarius by George Eliot. Read for LibriVox.org by Arden. February 22, 2025. Stradivarius. Your soul was lifted by the wings today. Hearing the master of the violin, you praised him, praised the great Sebastian too, who made that fine chaconne. But did you think of old Antonio Stradivari, him who a good century and half ago put his true work in that brown instrument, and by the nice adjustment of its frame gave it responsive life, continuous, with the master's fingertips and perfected, like them by delicate rectitude of use, not Bach alone, helped by fine precedent of genius gone before, nor Joachim, who holds the strain afresh and corporate, by inward hearing and notation strict, of nerve and muscle made our joy today. Another soul was living in the air, and swaying it to true deliverance, of high invention and responsive skill. That plain white-aproned man who stood at work, patient and accurate full 80 years, cherished his sight and touch by temperance, and since keen sense his love of perfectness, made perfect violins the needed paths for inspiration and high mastery. No simpler man than he never cried, "Why was I born to this monotonous task of making violins?" or flung them down, to suit with hurling act a well-hurled curse, at labor on such perishable stuff. Hence neighbors in Cremona held him dull, called him a slave, a mill horse, a machine, begged him to tell his motives or to lend a few gold pieces to a loftier mine. Yet he had pithy words full fed by fact, for fact, well trusted, reasons and persuades, is gnomic, cutting, or ironical, draws tears, or is a tocsin to arouse, can hold all figures of the orator in one plain sentence, has her pauses too, eloquent silence at the chasm abrupt, where knowledge ceases. Thus Antonio made answers as fact willed, and made them strong. Naldo, a painter of eclectic school, taking his dicers, candlelight, and grins from Caravaggio, and in holier groups, combining Flemish flesh with martyrdom, knowing all tricks of style at 31, and weary of them, while Antonio, at 69, wrought placidly his best, making the violin you heard today. Naldo would tease him off to tell his aims. Perhaps thou hast some pleasant vice to feed, the love of Louis d'Or in heaps of four, each violin a heap. I've naught to blame. My vices waste such heaps. But then, why work with painful nicety, since fame once earned by luck or merit, oftenest by luck? Else why do I put Bonifazio's name to work that Pinxit Naldo would not sell? His welcome index to the wealthy mob, where they should pay their gold, and where they pay, there they find merit. Take your toe for flax, and hold the flax unlabeled with your name, too coarse for sufferance. Antonio, then, I like the gold, well, yes, but not for meals, and as my stomach, so my eye and hand, an inward sense that works along with both, have hunger that can never feed on coin. Who draws a line and satisfies his soul, making it crooked where it should be straight? An idiot with an oyster shell may draw his lines along the sand, all wavering, fixing no point or pathway to a point. An idiot one remove may choose his line, straggle and be content, but God be praised. Antonio Stradivari has an eye that winces at false work and loves the true, with hand and arm that play upon the tool, as willingly as any singing bird, sets him to sing his morning roundelay, because he likes to sing and likes the song. Then Naldo, 'tis a petty kind of fame, at best, that comes of making violins, and saves no masses, either. Thou wilt go to purgatory none the less. But he, 'twere purgatory here to make the mill, and for my fame, when any master holds, twixt chin and hand, a violin of mine, he will be glad that Stradivari lived, made violins, and made them of the best. The masters only know whose work is good. They will choose mine, and while God gives them skill, I give them instruments to play upon, God choosing me to help him. What? Were God at fault for violins, thou absent? Yes, he were at fault for Stradivari's work. Why, many hold Giuseppe's violins as good as thine. Maybe, they are different. His quality declines, he spoils his hand with overdrinking, but were his the best, he could not work for two. My work is mine, and heresy or not, if my hand slacked, I should rob God, since he is fullest good, leaving a blank instead of violins. I say, not God himself can make man's best, without best men to help him. I am one best, here in Cremona, using sunlight well, to fashion finest maple till it serves, more cunningly than throats, for harmony. 'Tis rare delight, I would not change my skill, to be the emperor with bungling hands, and lose my work, which comes as natural as self at waking. Thou art little more than a deft potter's wheel, Antonio, turning out work by mere necessity, and lack of varied function. Higher arts subsist on freedom, eccentricity, uncounted inspirations, influence, that comes with drinking, gambling, talk turned wild, then moody misery and lack of food, with every dithyrambic fine excess. These make at last a storm which flashes out, enlightening revelations, steady work, turns genius to a loom. The soul must lie, like grapes beneath the sun till ripeness comes, and mellow vintage. I could paint you now the finest crucifixion. Yesternight, returning home, I saw it on a sky, blue-black, thick-starred. I want 2 louis d'or to buy the canvas and the costly blues. Trust me a fortnight. Where are those last 2? I lent thee for thy Judith. Her thou saw'st, in saffron gown, with Holofernes' head, and beauty all complete. She is but sketched. I lack the proper model, and the mood. A great idea is an eagle's egg, craves time for hatching. While the eagle sits, feed her. If thou wilt call thy pictures eggs, I call the hatching work. 'Tis God gives skill, but not without men's hands. He could not make Antonio Stradivari's violins without Antonio. Get thee to thy easel. 1873. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sugar Plum Tree by Eugene Field. Read for LibriVox.org by Melissa DeSantis. Have you ever heard of the sugar plum tree? 'Tis a marvel of great renown. It blooms on the shore of the Lollipop Sea, in the garden of Shut-Eye Town. The fruit that it bears is so wondrously sweet, as those who have tasted it say, that good little children have only to eat of that fruit to be happy next day. When you've got to the tree, you would have a hard time to capture the fruit which I sing. The tree is so tall that no person could climb to the boughs where the sugar plums swing. But up in that tree sits a chocolate cat, and a gingerbread dog prowls below, and this is the way you contrive to get at those sugar plums tempting you so. You say but the word to that gingerbread dog, and he barks with such terrible zest, that the chocolate cat is at once all agog, as her swelling proportions attest. And the chocolate cat goes cavorting around from this leafy limb unto that, and the sugar plums tumble, of course, to the ground. Hurrah for that chocolate cat! There are marshmallows, gumdrops, and peppermint canes, with stripings of scarlet or gold, and you carry away of the treasure that rains as much as your apron can hold. So come, little child, cuddle closer to me, in your dainty white nightcap and gown, and I'll rock you away to that sugar plum tree, in the garden of Shut-Eye Town. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Summer Morn in New Hampshire by Claude McKay. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. All yesterday it poured, and all night long I could not sleep. The rain unceasing beat upon the shingled roof like a weird song, upon the grass like running children's feet, and down the mountains by the dark cloud kissed like a strange shape in filmy veiling dressed, slid slowly, silently, the wraith-like mist, and nestled soft against the earth's wet breast. But lo, there was a miracle at dawn. The still air stirred at touch of the faint breeze. The sun, a sheet of gold, bequeathed the lawn. The songsters twittered in the rustling trees, and all things were transfigured in the day but me, whom radiant beauty could not move, for you, more wonderful, were far away, and I was blind with hunger for your love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Then and Now by Thomas Fleming Day. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. Then and now. The wind has changed to happy south. The tide is setting free. As one by one past harbor mouth our ships stand out to sea. We watch them pass, my love and I. We shout halloo from shore. Goodbye, goodbye, the sailors cry. Goodbye, the breakers roar. The wind has turned to icy north, full bitterly it blows. The sea is wroth and white with froth, and no ship comes or goes. We watch for them, my love and I, we linger on the shore. The breakers cry, ho ho, goodbye, goodbye for evermore. End of recording. This recording is in the public domain.
Truth by William Anderson. Read for LibriVox.org by M. Lee. It is not in the heart of thought, nor in the breast of care, that truth its dwelling place has sought, for all is sterile there. Nor is it in the mind, where gay, delusive visions throng, that chastening truth can find a way its glittering dreams among. Yet as within the desert far there are reflections given of light, so in the heart there are remembrances of heaven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Universal Hymn by Philip James Bailey. Read for LibriVox.org by Arden. January 30, 2025. Universal Hymn. All things, O God, by Thee made are to Thee, holy, and with true praisefulness inspired. Nature and all her powers, Thy servitors, our friends and fellow worshippers, and man, archpriest of earth, most bound in Thee to adore. Thou, O great Sun, whose life eliciting ray but shadoweth forth his greater grace, who showers on spiritual and natural world alike his inexhaustless good. Sun kindler, him, sun quencher, praise thou and adore, who Thee, fixed in full heaven as mighty miniature, him infinite center unseen, from whose force original radiate all things, and to whom, inly illumining every soul of life, parental they relapse, even as Thy beams, though world soiled, Thine all-brightening breast regain. Sun, magnify Thy Maker. Moon, whose gleam, reflective, types the God-light, wherewith shines man's soul. Lead Thou, through each sabbatic change, that errant essence to one invariable, and as some pilgrim maid, from shrine to shrine, circling insatiate of all sanctities, her resolute soul to expand with fullest faith and holiest memories, teach us, light of night, by Thy superb procession through yon skies, mansioned with many a world of bliss, to enlarge our spirits with love of God, nor know of wane, save in the world's attraction, so best serving our Lord and Thine. Twin spheres, perpetual rest, this showing pauseless motion that between, whose fires for purifying the storied day, the night, earth's star-tipped shadow pass, and space, world-spangled, neath whose sensible folds, his garb, the formless spirit within we trace, your Lord, attest the eternal reason of the whole, hidden in himself, self-manifestive cause, former of forms, who, source and sum of life, bade being be, and from his boundless deeps of reason drew law primitive and supreme. Be orbs, self-moved, which, rounding with our own, the infinite within, without yourselves, find naught but God. O shout aloud your proofs, all heavens may hear, and even the nebulous star, of pale irresolute sheen, with fearful joy, vibrant, conclude God is, our Lord, our Sire. Not chaos, chance, nor matter, law inert, unconscious, nor ourselves, contingent, weak, who might have been, as now, or not have been. Chance hurled him prostrate in the dust when asked the crucial question. Chaos cowed his head in twice redoubled darkness, witting not. Mute matter heard not. No, it was mind most skilled, all made by one omnific word, all named, his children, laid on every head his hand, whose radiant impress shows there still, endowed with natural life, second to naught save soul. Wherefore, bright worlds, your parent spirit exalt, leap mid your solar dance, with awful mirth, joy in yourselves and gladden in your God. He through your space spread tome of light and peace, and fates more blessed than these, of rights divine, and heavenly royalties. His starry reed to man predictive speaks, whose words are worlds. Stars restful, who day's dazzling veil withdrawn, heaven's sanctuary illume, your laws, powers, spheres, graduate, each gift of the variousness he saw, holds in perfective fullness, reason of thanks, past numbering, him through all life mundane, adore, harmoniously, time's tawdry pageants pass. States, empires come, pause, vanish, o'er yon hills. Your globed fires, in dread-fraught sameness of time and place, rise punctual. Shall stars show, more than their founder faithful? Here all orbs, moveless, or who, persistent in extremes, course fast and far the firmament, man ours quit. Warm ye full oft by alien hearts, while proud of chaste and chartered liberties your sire, source, force, and end of every law by him, to creatures limited, he by all bonds unbound. Above law, praise the lawgiver, who poured ye forth, as from an urn of life, flooding with light, most space, but gave space, light, life, bound in scope. Order divine, connate with heaven, and form, first of all laws, whereby the immensurable, to finite fitted, fills the organic whole, mirror material of substantive mind, for nothing finite, not conceivable, by us can of itself be more than God, beyond thought, to aught else existence owe. Effect pretemporal of eternal cause, heaven in thy highest reach, thy starriest depth, thy bosom's inmost infinite, sanctify, with thy voluminous silence him all-wise, who, holding all perfections absolute, and necessary as all conclusions time, as space orbs, as earth nature's countless germs, the great progressive power which prompts with life, their self-renewing functions, and unseals the flowing forces of this sensible sphere, I tabernacleth in thee, and thou, O earth, who movest in music like a harper's hand, white among gleamy chords thine elements, stringed fourfold, laud him with all sounds of joy. With joy august and dread, great mother world, whose veins within the fire Promethean stolen, truly of heaven, and him who planned the plains, ethereal streams from unbeginning time to time unending, sees not earth his praise, who in himself embreasts both thee and heaven. O heart of fire, which, central towards our feet, throbbest through rock girders zone wide, and huge halls, where stalactital mountains hang, and whence are fed the deep-gorged volcanoes that earth scarred, with channeled flame floods and hot torrent o'er. Earth's soft face, healing now, material shape, first looming, which, uncurbed and uncompressed, swept o'er the naked void, a burning mist, till, stiffened gradual, the constituent mass, once reek-like, severing into self-poised spheres, and gravity rejoiced, space circling, him greet as liege loyal master, who, of old, on the high mount of world-enlightening law, for law is love defined, toward those who break, so soon the tabled stones of blessing, tamed down, and tempered into intolerable blaze, the eye-glance of his wrath. Fire praise thou God, earliest of worldly rudiments and last, voracious even of death, though bodiless, though soulless, retributive cause him praise. Grey ocean, folding in thine arms our earth, still shrinking tremulous from the booming shock of thy foam-crested legions, laud the arm which forceful hollowed thine abysmal bed, nor seldom at hot noon, unmarked, retired, into thy closest chambers seek his feet, but like a guilty king, discrowned, self-doomed, to penance, ask remission of high sins. The slaughterous storm which wrecked a harmless fleet, the smooth insidious death, gainful to thee, and many a hideous end hidden in deep ooze, all not thine own, with other throned thieves, thou must yield up. What justice bids restore, in thy store count not, neither quiet despair. The prayers of purity and of penitent sin, like favorites be of God, he righteous reads, as through a tear in nature's eye, thy deeps, reluctant and just restitution claims. From thee, from all, before acceptance, night and morn thy voice, or tolling to repose, I hear, or whispering out of sleep, to earth's tongue, and all elements join then, ocean thine. Him equitable, only unsearchable, name. Tides that with tranquil transport woo the shore, or vehement rapture roused by passionate airs, clash symbol-wise your white hands. He is God, who fashioned you, evoked you from the void, impalpable of vapor, and with force, mobile, as with resistless will endowed, spell over in every wave his words of love, when first he taught you whence ye were, and when, wearied with vast librations to and fro, and sparklings infinite, twinkling time away, your deep breasts heave with long and dreamy swell, let his dread name, untongued, initiate sleep, and hallow all your calm. Him, ebb and flood, now heaped in billowy darkness, now ungloomed by streamy globulets of liquescent flame, like light chaotic struggling for free life. Worship in all your width, who bade ye flow from fountains elemental and condensed, in the cool concave of his spacious hand, the world air limitless, wherein he breathed all being into being. Laud your God. Winds, tireless wayfarers of air, like aged, with the beginning, his all-fatherly lips, bless, that from dull vacuity woke ye, now laden with death tempestuous, but with wafts, oftener of his world-vivifying breath, who matter into movement touching, gave ye, to rove the earth as spirit's space. His name, in secret sigh as lovers want, therewith, all elements divinizing, and while ye sweep, earth in-plan waves their aerial, gales health rife, the white wheat winnowing for high granaries. A life-whole benediction breathe, what less can creature its creator give, what more? Him whirlwinds, hurricanes, wild-winged storms confess, earthquakes and powers pernicious, that the breast of this fair orb have rent aforetime, nor this soul, but once disrupting into space, our midmost planet shot diffused through void, a shower of falling worlds, just judgment, praise, destructive him recreative, who yet those shattered world shards shall restore, conglobed in innocent unity, and to happier life, their intercursive tenants. Meteors, him, ye lightnings laud with thunders thousandfold, who do his bidden hests and justify God's dealings, when beneath high-bannered tent, the feastful conqueror, thunder-riven, down drops, before his guests astound, or on his throne, struck by a falling star, loosed from God's hand, the tyrant, curse incarnate, suddenly ends, in face of all the land he had outraged. Him, agents of wrath and angels of his ire, laud, who too slays with uncompassionate bolt, shepherd and sheep blameless alike, in shade of weathering crag, death dreamed not of, nor ill. Praise him, natheless, that man's whole race may know, submiss, prepared, the incomprehensible one, who in himself all motives, means, and ends compriseth, first and final cause of things, nor by necessity he, nor dubious choice, of specious good, acts, but the best wills does, as absolute viewed, now relative or etern. Snow with thy voiceless tongue, from either pole to zenith preach in godly silence God, who ice and frost, thy sterner brethren, armed, with glassy key to lock earth's life-warm veins. Praise him reanimative, like glistening down, like blossoming starlets, like crystalline flowers, white as the wing of angel waved in heaven, only shed thankful. God exalts the pure, on peaks sky peering, and earth's orbed brow, upturned as in God's arms, thy Lord adore. Night's dazzling dancers, tall speared, which invade, ere northward, with explosive rays, the stars, pale armies routing breathless, and sure morn, confounding what false outbursts, ominous once, of imminent battle strife, fear's restless ears, deafening what clash imaginary of arms. With all your fiery tongues, lambent of heaven, peal forth to God your resonant thanks, that ye, mere militant maskers known, mend now your play, with curious questings mark, and cheerful awe. For knowledge hath undreaded ye, no more prefigurative of war. Haste, days of peace, humanity's perfection, peace, our path, convergent with divinity, there, oh haste! Man shall be one in spirit, as God is one. Our God is Lord of peace. Breathe, glittering bow, all hued ere burst as though from beauty or tense, thy brief, bright life throughout, one solemn thought, God's oath, how thankworthy, the past pass by, which, sparing earth, thee special witness height, man's heart to reassure against ruining storms, while far beyond bides aye the intent divine of pre-creative love, him, bow of heaven, God's holy oath made visible here, adore. Laud him, ye cloudlets snow-bosomed, which morn or eve serve golden-robed, or, rich in rain, blend tearful blessings with the reviling blast. Praise ye, whose life expends itself in good, the source surceaseless of all blessings, him, your God, while hurrying on wing-footed winds, his messages of mercy to scorched lands, dreaming of violet wraiths, dew-soaked to cool their sun-seared breasts, and widening deserts strew with riot of rank greenery, or, when slow, beneath the moon ye swoon away utterly, earth breathing lightlier then, each blade in bloom, bedropped but fragrant moist, cheer ye your life, culmins in death, for from your birth hour, known of no man, midst the black Atlantic, wroth at ancient bands ignored, which betwixt old and young world barred alliance, now with coils, the voiceable lightnings dart through, perfected, till life's last moment, God your whole career, sums in his eyes' broad purpose, what round heaven hath seemlier honor, praise him for your end. Storm-breasting cliffs, whose feet, earth-stained, the deep, laveth as with the humility of a god. Oh, of that steadfast strength make much, your Lord hath sunken you in and grounded you, as signs of his unshaken truth, against whose face the spray of years from time's unnumbered tides dashes in vain. Rocks glory in your host, earth-framer he who hath kinged you with his name, and ta'en your own, whose guests are ye for life, and then make room, ye two who sit serene, firstborn of earth and ancients of the snow, time's youth mates, mountains solemn as God's thoughts, pondering the chain of being, life with life, linked in connatural lineage round to him. Praise ye his favoring hand, who in earth's murk breast molded your giant forms, who, age by age, tried ye with flood and tested ye with fire, proved ye with darkness, wrapped ye patiently, as schooling for perfection, and at last, crowned and consummate in all mysteries, led into sacred light, the outmost court of God's invisible temple, whose dome is life, whose sanctuary the soul, him eye it rise, and set of sun, when comeliest ye appear, in fiery orbs arrayed in burning snows. To adore fail not, for he in your most pure beauty delights, and to his heavenly eye, whose loveliness shews boundless as his love, all beauteousness is holy, laud ye him, whose mystic name heaven, secret and sublime, hath yet to you assured. Him praise, ye plains, teeming with succulent life, glebe, glade, and lea, with homeliest blossoms blushing now, with fruit bowed soon delicious, or solemnized but corn. Rejoice, the day comes war, waste, want shall cease. Hosts vowed from youth to peaceful arts and works shall swarm all lands, an emulative of worth. Strive who most good shall plan, and plan to perfect and practice. Then shall ye make glad, and man, illustrious by his heavenly birth and end, co-worker with his maker in all good, still meliorate with kindly culture earth, our God-given estate that changed like vast time, though on prodigies pampered, dares not rate, in face of truth's or vigilant guard, with signs less marvelous, but as more than miracle names. Not in forlorn fertility then subject to ravished fruits and ravaged stores, but I, in plenty, that to see hearts swell as now, confess who blessed you with the privileged man to banquet, man, earth's king. Coy valleys lisp, well pleased, your thanks, that God's attempering hand has smoothed ye meet for happiest ends, and made shadows substantial of the calm which broods, welkin like, o'er those upper deeps of soul, vain worldling sounds not, nor pride's keel profanes. Gush into song, shy nooks, dells fall and swell, with every deep pulsation of earth's heart, into melodious praise, even as joy's eye melts in the measureless relief of tears. Him whose ordaining hand your solitudes hath given to peace, adore, who heaved the hills, your dales too delved as deep, vine-mantled knolls, whence stills the grape blood, choicest juice that charms, God's tabled round the earth, him palm-plumed vales, where glow all fruits of tropic fame, and fields that temperate taste, the palate's lux rules, him, hot wilds of herbage sparse, all healing roots, and wholesome poisons, spice and incense, all for our sustenance and delight which fructify, where flourish bosky, laurel, myrtle, and bay, oil olive, guide to wisdom, pledge of peace, gum, balm, acacia's sinless branch, and myrrh. Pour forth your sweet-breathed thanks, till starry earth, still fair, still dear, still in her matron prime, with thickening odors cloud her sacred path, like a swung censer through the templed skies. Bloom-bedded pleasances, where leisured taste luxuriates, as in recollected dreams, of life prenatal in God's garden, him, how fair the beautifier of all worlds, worship, and all ye plants, well-nurtured praise, who quickened you from dark and obdurate seed, suppled with balmy showers your growthful roots, gave daily dews, tapered your shapely stems, in his fine fingers, with free foliage clad, pendant and plenteous, starred your heads with flowers, crosswise irradiate, praise him with meek pride. It was his considerate touch your bosoms bathed, with heaven's translucent hues. Your heart buds died, and sunset's paradisal steeped your leaves, one moment in ethereal scents, and streaked with veinlets, velvet lined your nectarous cups. None less, none else, O virgin lily, queen of flowers, immaculate, vaunt with all thy kin. Most delicate, vaunt not less than forest oaken, or cedarn, famed, eben, sandal, rose, satim, God's ark, or gopher, man's his hand, nor shadowy pine copse, soundless as the void, fair fountains, rainbow haunted, art hath voiced, through marble lips, and mid palatial courts, bade whisper God's great name, you that like strings of liquid silver ripple neath nature's touch, in lifeful melody, and through daisied banks, by your own sweet song solaced, seek your end, in joy unlessenable, and you tameless springs, froth flecked, that seawards gash the plashy moor, or rush rock maddened adown deep jagged ravines. Chant murmurous hymn, rill and runnel praise. Praise him, ye rivers, vastening as ye roll, from ice cleft or turfed slope to where the main lurks watchful with your waters soft and sweet, to slake his lips salt parched, and tribute seize, in kind of his liege loves, and you from heights, flush with the eagle's eyrie, plunging death, scorning as life, for are not ye immortal? And you, from chasmy and glacial wilds, death white, or pine-clad gore, leaping, cloud-shrouded, praise his name who on your first precipitous steps, and pretty stumbling falls smiled stealthily, your infant course mapped, fed with milky mists, and guiding to good ends the waywardest course, those swift, still feet subservient made to bear treasures of sap to meadland, swathed in sward, or leagues of grain heart-strengthening, while the sun, of annual growth, or root perennial helps, mature with you, praise him for. Seas, land-ringed, primeval ocean's relics, and ye fresh, and lucid lakelets where thee, stark fisher, man, first floated his rough raft, in the mud hut he beaver-like had builded, fortified, or where, hard by, the cave-born savage left his liberal bones to mell with those he had gnawn. Rejoice and bless your Maker, that in your breast lie glassed now cities and castled palaces, wood-nested cots, rich mansions, gold-topped fanes, and seats of science, while o'er your faces skim barks self-impelled, art's noblest, manliest feat. God necessary in essence, and will free, because illimitable, and free to free, from general law his special will and ours, power self-determinative through all his works, in apt proportions acts to ends well planned, rules rudest nature by dynamic law, spatially operative, his own designs, oft modifying by likewise, empowers organic being with instinct, but to mind, leaves liberty of motive, and himself conceals, to allow to man an angel's scope, accountable. Let all life praise its Lord, therefore, of beasts if tamed as gods claimed once. Ours now, whose inoffensive nature's he, most amiable as in samples chose of his, all-suffering deity, laud him end and head of sacrifice, if wild his prescience praise, which would not mean should nobler strains restrict. Dwellers in ocean's wave-roofed halls, who range, constant from shoal to deep, from deep to shoal, him worship, heavenly husbandman, who drives yearly his star-plough o'er the brine, and seeds its furrows with your numerous hosts of life. Cloud haunters, ocean now, the skies anon, enthralling, greet him gratefully who gave your strength despotic, and powers of threefold use. Wave-cradled, riding winds, land-tripping, hail, your maker irresponsible, who all being, founded, not found made, and so justified. And you, bright songbirds, whose felicitous lives, in flight, thought swift, and music sweet as love, heart harmony, elapse, song even in morn, concerted trill grateful to him who grants your innocent soul's earth's luxuries, and in life, here something like the liberties of heaven. Your kind but force, choice honored, and so allied, by nature's lord to thee world's conscious sense, and rational energy, him ye serpent seed, skin sloughing, witness annual of new birth, him too ye insect tribes, thrice lived, who joy in natural resurrection, and fulfill the cycle of being glorified with wings, of luminous bodies ye, or honeyed swarms, in politic craft preeminent, and sage use of toil divisional with constructive skill, praise ye gay broods, dawn-born, night-slain, air with filmy winglet fanning, nor yet grieve, death, impatient not for you alone, secures, in his dark couch, after life's giddying reel, a sequel undisturbed, ye animate motes, uneyable, whose curt existence we laugh into naught at every breath, yet deem your maker bounteous. Life, how scant soever, seems good as loaned of God, whose arm all space outspans, whose eye all mirrors. Him, then him, O universal nature, passive power of deity, which, with the minutest thing, subsistent owest thyself totally to God, the whole embracing in thy boundless breast, our world sire praise, while yet immortal man, the intelligible light, silent within, shall clearlier hear than though each atom spake, or every cloudlet thundered, worship God. Him worship all of human blood who roam, tribal in wilds, for breath, food, freedom praise. Ye more, who fixed live the life refined, of cities amid societies of the wise, graced with all science, learning, interchange, of luxuries profitable to all, and wealth, art's delicate toil, or lowliest labor earns, for polity based on manly rights, for life social by moral law, with usance kind, confederate, ruled, for nature's comely boons, for virtue's bonds majestic, mind's delights, the affections of the heart, the joys of sense, man's common usefulness to man, whereby the general good conceived of thee, and blessed in that conception issues, for the gift, those fitnesses to trace in all thy works, which prove the intent, glads and sublimes man's soul, conclusive of resemblant powers, and deeds, like, but how little like, him blessed for power, to separate truth from error, right from wrong, for love of knowledge, art's purifying grace, for cultured mind, for means material thralled, in thousand shapes by inventive wit, and now, forces of progress, aids to man's high race, and holy future, succorers of the world. I, working through part ends its end complete, through beauty, good, truth, order realized, expressed or thought, its way back to God's breast, seat both of law and liberty, needful each, for mere creation, he o'er both supreme. Praise him, all bounteous, for the intelligence, inquisitive, which from every being would wrest the reason of its existence, nor tongue stilled, slacks but in gaze of thee, before whose face bow angel essences, in number more than night's invisible stars, wherewith, commixed, the forces of the universe stand. Him praise, who is praised of all. Praise him for power to praise. Ye continents many peopled, and all isles, children of earth and ocean, and thou, chief, who hast the birthright and the blessing, swell with jubilant joy the song to him supreme, father and friend of life, who man's crude needs mildens what heavenly sanctions by seer's voice, or prophets, justice names his assessor, gives nations the reward of well-doing, peace, while evildoers themselves accurse by war, presumptuous states by racist checks, and stress of personal interaction now lays bare to scoffing ages popular policy, now scheming powers recondite cunning, heeds, indignant, empires wrongs reciprocate, just rights upheld complacent, to all doles, such excellencies as wisdom warrants, not lacks he true compt of, who, with all that think, most intimate secretly, cons both, and weighs men's individual deeds, which, though we feign, transient to hold and trivial, by him glimpsed, prove not phenomenal merely, but imply eternal bearings, and here rooted, there fruit freely, if to our contentment, well, if elsewise still reproachless he, whose end in all creating was to diffuse himself through life in uncontaminate good, to all as present and to those he loves most nigh. Him in the heights of his divinity praise, the depths of his humanity, the breadth of being, him redemptive who assumed into his perfect nature ours complete deficiency, who set in manhood rose in deity praise, all lands, lips, nations hail his laudable name, till passed from world to world, their shining feet at reach, who glorious tread, star paved and straight the streets of paradise. Him, workers of the world wielder him, blessed in activity, blesser of repose, praise ceaseless, who with alternative rest and action, nature's self-perpetuate scheme, poises, contracting or expanding force, the ages hoard, the hours distribute, him, who, coupling life with motion, builds unrest, eternal heaven, who labors law revere, the sweat of honest toil, deeming a due, grateful to God, more than that beads the rose. Laud manful, him, ye who gaunt want, fell foe to life and knowledge, battling daily yet, wot well where'er on earth be faith and truth, aim holier aspiration, there is God. Let all who do their best of hand or mind do well, and thought devout may every task, not of itself unholy, hallow. Him, unchangeable himself, but of all change, impressive, self-necessitating cause. Ye truth searchers exalt, whose trust to know all verity is in heaven, he, sovereign soul, of being divines and turns to simplest faith, who more than all is, whom apparent things, fruit transient of eternal root unseen, conspire to honor, from life's primal cell to heaven's immeasurable arch, and hosts, contiguous of all being, which both worlds, exterior and intrinsic, link in powers, reactive, and God indwelling in the world, evince, but God most just, who towards us acts, as he would have us act towards all in him, exacting from perfection perfect deed, for imperfection grace, his equity such, who loves the spirit long-suffering like himself, but his own binds in normal righteousness, to man wards, and assumes the splendid coil, wherewith, attaching nature to himself, True freedom means obedience to high law. Our spirits he liberates and exalts. Him praise, in whose divine perception all things made move congruous, designate for final good. Happy because all holy in his love, boundless, in virtue sumless, who for us made truth compensate nature, and with light kinned and companioned her. The soul's guide that, this body's, him let man praise, who, empowered with high capacities to administer here, creation's uses and our own, yet dares, humbly, the stores his Lord for him amassed, in times bygone adjust, and the vague force, nature inbred at birth, condenses, finds, the code of life interprets, and inspired, conform with reason, faculty supreme, divine, and to both common truth revealed, as much the ages on makes more humane, and so more worthy God, him deeply are taught, in holiest mysteries blessed are all in soul, simpler sage he of celestial strain, yet earthborn, laud, who caused ye, finite know, him infinite, and his nature imaging, in your conditional essence be to him, through mediate sonship of his Christ, your whole existence one soul glorifying act, though like a permanent star cloud mid the void, insoluble, the cross still shadowing shame, with honor, earth's hate thwarted by God's love. Proclaim it, man redeemed, as I thy first of blessings. Thanks for all things, but for this, thanks threefold. Let us praise thee while we live, for thy regenerate spirit which hallowing life, ones it with thine, whereby we dread not death, the house the sun must pass through, and the sign, which us initiates into heaven, but no, death means reunion with the deathless, range with our translated elders, consciousness, enlarged of the eternal spirit unmarred, by bodily needments, life at one with God, and faith's huge promises, our souls assume the future, and we covenant here for heaven, confirmed by fate, here and forever him, all souls praise. Praise him, lovers of his law, unwrit, word unrevealed but to yourselves. Not for those faculties only with all life, ye own instinctive, but each mental gift. Enlightened conscience sways, for conscience's self. For those affections not the world, not man, not country, friendship, love exhausts, nor blood, while just devotion burns in us towards him. For those high powers, conceptions, hopes which fill, or thrill our breasts, which prophets e'er have preached, or nature hints we share, the unboundedness of time, existence, will, the ennobling sense of duteousness towards men, of debt to God, for reason whose undimmed outlook o'er the world is balanced by right insight into ourselves, for a life whitening through probation here, for deep convictions of a loftier lot, an ampler scope of spirit, a draught of bliss, endless to be nearer the fount. Praise him, who godly care spares not, nor stores that we, saved from our niggard selves, and unto him, assimilate may, through good deeds faith inspired, just estimate of divine love towards all made, life venerable and pure, the calm supreme, and clear of sacred souls, the quietude, intense and infinite gain of holy thoughts, such as he loves and lives in. Laud ye God, Saviour and instigator of all good, yet not the less impenetrable, who ill or rules to good, both mingles, ends and means, meets, sparing now, as space were something scant, now lavish of waste worlds, atomic force, economizing here, there solar powers, permitting perish. What then? That sun hath long compassed its end. This atom may world's head, may yet be. Him ye just in soul adore, who latent deity gives place to all, and takes away, whose holy attributes, essential as his being, ray and rule, from him, through all his rational works, the source of every virtuous tie the world of soul, acknowledgeth, as from wisdom's sacred breast, spontaneous sprung, whereby God laws himself, in natural rectitude with all create. He who all made himself to manifest, and to intelligent creatures gave to know, possess, communicate his love and truth, his righteousness to emulate, to share his holiness, his beatitude and joy, and in his wisdom skilled, in his intents, proved and heart purified for others' weal, most laboring, taught to crown with moral good the vast divine of things. But though the Mass be holy, yet the first fruits God most loves. Praise therefore him, ye sons of light, and bless the communable deity who, albeit perpetual passion suffering at men's hands, hoards not from those he loves divinity, him, participants of his kingly state, whose wills with his conjoined subregnant rule the same, though in narrower round as his. Praise him supreme, who loves the praises he in hymns inspires, or wordlessly embreathes. Let all forechosen, ambitious only of more humility, exalted but to serve, who, while in time, bide trulier in the eternal state which rests, to each world proper, pillared upon the past, and future in the soul, praise him, ye most, whose privilege is to please God perfectly, earth this wise tolerated, whereto ye lend, like fire from fate's accepted offering, the savour of salvation, whose heart's hope, that all souls might be saved, by him inspired, transfigured into fate, reads sure in heaven. All ways are byways but the way of God, so broad, not thought a road, in man's wise heart, which wide relations with the infallible holds, though flawed by error, with all excellence, moral and rational, with God immanent in all things, yet transcendent over all, knows the divine involves us and impends, heaven-like o'er earth, who can escape the skies, who, blessed with soul, the sweet constraint to adore their Lord, Sire, Saviour, Sanctifier of all, who in their principles cores all ends, combines, results forestablished with acts freely willed, through body clarifies the spirit of man, and virtue made obligatory but ruled, for its validity rise and close in him. Him praise, ye generations of the past, whose unrenowned seems holier than all fame, all final history in her epitaphs of nations notes, him who the adopted soul fills by sin's absolution with rich foretaste of evil's abolition, the world stamped with total good. Praise him, ye sceptred saints, with God like-minded, glorying in his will, impeccable, who muse celestial things, whose sins are washed away in seas of love, who, liberate from all law, sit judging law, whose passion for perfection sated, ye, wrapped into deity, with your Lord enjoy, life unitive, life eternal, life divine, who revel in futurity and inhale the gust of inspiration at his lips, of all worlds owner, author of all fates, who knoweth God the sum of science owns, the heavens record his handiwork, the earth worships his footsteps, life his breath repeats, the soul his image, everlasting space, the harmonies of his nature echoing round, reflects his vast extension, the great whole, his boundless being and his infinite mind. Midst but apart from all, he substance gives, and choice distinct from others and himself, yet himself makes the beauty and the bliss of his intelligent universe, its aim, its orderly source, its endless end, whose rule, let justice among equals reign, his love, for he with us not varying, harsh or bland, as our vain behavior bids, but in himself, all kind, sufficing fixed, unroughed by wrath, by bribeful prayers unsmoothed, towards all his works, piteous, yea, sentient of fate's faintest sigh, in all his sweetness, is by none save soul, saved, apprehensible. Lord, be it from me, with earth's triumphal hymn these lays to blend, worthy but of thy blessing that they flow, from gifts thou gavest, reconsecrate to thee, whereby in thy dear love thou madest it mine, to interpret nature's elements, and with her, and all her holy tongues commune, to live, in presence of our peers, the powers of heaven, sun, moon, and skies star-crowded, clouds, winds, tides, born of yon far blue infinite, but all predestined to soul's service, mind to scan, and greatest minds, great thoughts, earth's past, betimes, fatal, foreshape the future, mind to know, in moral might towards thee deific drawn, all spirits in order blessed, mine henceforth, I, to extol thee merciful as mighty, thee, ours and all beings, end and author God, all things in thee subsistent, thou alone, in thyself art, all eyeing at one glance, all minding in one thought, in one sole act, creating, comprehending, judging all. Unalterable is silence thy decrees, or boundless and forever thy delight is in the holy of heaven and in the heart, responsive to thy counsels, even as space, all things embosoming, is thy mercifulness. Thy love is life, and they who find thee here find peace and perfectness, eternal gifts, peace in themselves and perfectness in thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wealth by Joyce Kilmer. Read for LibriVox.org by Paula Messina. For Aline. From what old ballad or from what rich frame did you descend to glorify the earth? Was it from Chaucer's singing book you came? Or did Watteau's small brushes give you birth? Nothing so exquisite as that slight hand could Raphael a Leonardo trace, nor could the poets know in fairyland the changing wonder of your lyric face. I would possess a host of lovely things, but I am poor, and such joys may not be. So God, who lifts the poor and humble kings, sent loveliness itself to dwell with me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Willie Winkie by William Miller. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. Wee Willie Winkie runs through the toon, upstairs and downstairs in his nichtgoon, tarling at the window, crying at the lock, are the weans in their bed? For it's now 10 o'clock. Hey, Willie Winkie, are ye coming, Ben? The cat singing gay thrums to the sleeping hen. The dog spildered on the floor and doesna gie a cheep, but here's a walk cry for laddie that winna fa asleep. Ony thing but sleep, ye rouge, glowering like the moon, rattling in an airn jug with an airn spoon, rambling, tumbling round about, crawling like a cock, skirling like a canna what walking, sleeping folk. Hey, Willie Winkie, the weans in a creel, wombling off a body's knee like a vera eel, rugging at a cat's lug and ravelling at her thrums. Hey, Willie Winkie, see, there he comes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wind-Tappy Ships by Thomas Fleming Day. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. Wind-Tappy Ships. Wind-tappy ships that rise and make across the gaping bay to dance like bubbles in the wake of westward flying day. So quick they rise, so swift they flow, so bright their topsails gleam. They seem to come and go like joy thoughts in a dream. Wind-tappy ships in constant flight across the sloping main that through the dark and through the light sail on and on again. A port ye have, I know not where, 'tis far beyond my world, but pray some day may find you there with all your canvas furled. End of recording. This recording is in the public domain.